From the Smith Radio Studios, it's Carrie and Brian Smith. This is Smith Radio. You can tweet at Smith Radio.
Oh,
whoa,
man.
What the heck was that about?
I hit the wrong button.
Unbelievable. Well, welcome to Smith Radio.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio. Your host, Brian Smith. And
Carrie Smith.
Giving you all the late breaking news of last week, wrapping it all up, exposing the fake news for who they are, giving you the real news, the real deal, and explaining to you everything you need to know.
All right.
How we doing on the sound?
I mean, the level looks perfect.
Okay, sounds great. Excellent. And I know I'm going to get flack for that intro, but whatever. I enjoyed it. I've been tinkering around with a couple little things, and I think that what's been working better is people have been noticing that if I give them a little bit more time to get on the show, like if I do a 10-minute little intro for Trump and, America First and the whole agenda, it kind of gives you a feel of who we are here at Smith Radio. And then you tell your friends and family and say, hey, man, it's getting ready to get on now. Anyways, we got a lot of stuff. I say all the time that this is going to be a busy week, and it is. Show prep notes went 4 pages long.
Yeah, and the weird thing is all the stuff I've been paying attention to this week is different than the stuff that you get.
Oh, man, no, you didn't.
Well, that's fine. I'm just it's just strange.
We're going to get into the Russian collusion. Hey, has anybody heard about that? Yes, folks, we are going to finally, since December 2016, December 11th, 2016, our show Russia, we are now, almost 2 years. Coming up this December would be 3 years, wouldn't it? All 17, 2 years. Coming up on this would be 2 years. We're finally going to wrap up Russia collusion. We're going to give it to you straight. We're going to tell you all the players that are involved and everything that is being looked at, and this is really, really bad for the Democrat Party and the deep staters. We're going to talk about all the people that have been fired, people that have been yanked, their security clearances. We're going to get into all of that. Kimberly Strassel is all over this, and also Catherine Herridge. She is just phenomenal. No-nonsense investigative journalist. I talked about this on one of the scopes earlier this week, but I'm not sure if Carrie heard about this. Did you hear about Bill Kristol?
No.
Not Billy Crystal, the actor. Bill Kristol, the Russian collusionist. So apparently Bill Kristol, some undercover reporters have discovered some things about Bill Kristol and his paper, his outlet, and also this was from the Center for American Greatness.com. They've discovered that Bill Kristol was aiding and abetting the Democrat Party.
In what way?
During Russia. To get Republicans to believe that Trump was in with Russia.
Who was he paid by?
I think he was paid by the Democrat Party. Absolutely. When we get into it, you're going to lose your mind.
So this is the uniparty.
Absolutely.
And we've been saying it for a long time?
Yep. Republicans versus Democrats. We've got that 2018 election watch coverage coming up. In a few months here, folks, we're all going to be going to the polls. You've got to tell your friends and your families. We got to get out to the polls. Do not allow this to slip out of our hands. We absolutely must vote. Take somebody with you. This is MAGA 3 all over again. So we're going to get into a lot of those things. Keith Ellison, the Islamic wife beater, we'll talk about him. He runs the DNC and strong arms the women. We get into all that. We'll also talk about Robbie Mook. He's in the headlines as well. Robbie Mook was the campaign guy for Hillary Clinton, big Democrat guy. He's screaming a message to Democrats, but they're not listening, and I think it's hysterical. Tale of two cities. Bernie Sanders, socialism, Ocasio-Cortez. We're going to get into all that as well as Venezuela. We've got some information about Venezuela, some updates. Venezuela on Death Watch, actually. We got some updates on Venezuela and how socialism actually ends up, folks, where it finally hits the rubber meets the road, if you will. Also, the purge continued a little bit this week. Also have some more purging. I believe Alex Jones was put on a 7-day timeout. They put him in the corner, gave him a timeout on Twitter. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't.
I think Alex Jones was put on a little 7-day timeout, a cooling off period.
Why?
If you will. Jack Dorsey felt he needed a cooling off period.
I think Jack Dorsey needed the cooling off for all the grief he was getting for not jumping on board.
Jack Dorsey met up with little baby Brian Stelter.
Brian Stelter.
Did a little interview with little baby Brian Stelter.
Yeah, that was I tweeted about it.
Okay.
I did.
So we'll get into that. I'll play that. And it's something that I'm not hearing about, but I ran across by accident. Did you hear about the border wall that Donald Trump wants to build?
Over the past 3 years, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
4 years.
Did you hear about it in the last couple of days?
No, I don't think I did. I mean, I've heard some people mention things that were
anecdotal
old news,
or old news,
like bringing up old stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then somebody had said, one of our good friends in our message chat group made the comment that that he said in Texas, people were being asked by the federal government if the federal government can survey their land, and they were assuming that might be for the border wall. Not sure, but I've got some breaking news that nobody's talking about. You'll be excited about it. About the border wall.
Okay.
We're really happy. And if we have time, you're not allowed to say Niger anywhere at all. Not allowed to say that. No.
We might have to beep that.
But I say Niger all the time because I love
Mr. Producer, do you have him on a 10-second delay?
Put me on a 10-second timeout. I got to sit in the corner. We're going to get into Omarosa and the dog comment. Yes, it's gone viral. Everybody's, when I say everybody, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, they're just all up in arms with it. We've also, if time allots us, that we've also got Omarosa just completely imploding. And if you saw the opening video montage of Trump at the beginning of this show, ironically, I forgot about it, but Omarosa is in the montage supporting Trump. And, the GOP, Donald Trump retweeted a tweet from the GOP. Folks, the GOP and the RNC, somebody is competently running it and learning that trolling works. And they put together a montage of Omarosa loving on Trump for like a minute, and Trump retweeted it.
That's funny.
I love it.
in hindsight, though, and I met Omarosa, and I'm also have you heard before, pro-am poker player, which requires a good sixth sense, skill of reading people. It's not really a sixth sense. It's actually just combining a lot of different data that you're collecting by looking at somebody, listening to what they say, and a lot of different actions that most people wouldn't think are significant, but when put together, you come up with a determination of what somebody's really thinking. And that's really what reading and poker is all about. And I met Omarosa, and she was super sweet, and I was expecting it to be kind of rough because she comes off as an unapproachable, mean-spirited type person. So I remember thinking, oh, gosh, this is going to be scary. And I came up to her, and she was super sweet and everything. And, of course, her being, famous as she is, I said, hey, it would be awesome if sometime I could get you to come on our show sometime, or just get a statement from you, or just have contact with you. And she was like, yeah, sure, and gave me her phone number, and everything was cool. And she's not the only one that's done this. We've had Katrina Pearson do this with us. And so this is common when you have a show like ours and it goes on for several years and you become more established. People tend to be a little bit more open and treat you as if you were the media as you become more and more established. And so they treat you a little bit differently. They're more open to give you contact information and all that kind of stuff. So of all the people that have done this with us, Omarosa is literally, I'm not exaggerating, she is the only one who voluntarily gave up her contact information and has never one time out of quite a few attempts at trying to contact her has even come back with anything like, oh, guys, I'm just really too busy, I won't be able to come on, or anything. Like literally almost as if she gave us the wrong number, but it was the right number because I think she might even have voicemail on it. But
hey, Omarosa, this is Carrie again. I thought I heard my phone ring, and I just want to double check to see if.
Oh gosh! So Brian's making it sound like I'm being rejected. It's not that. Here's my point. my point is it's really telling. We've been rejected before. There's no shame in that. I mean, Jim Jordan won't give me the time of the day. You know, stuff like that.
I rejected, but I didn't follow up with an author who then 2 years later, her book actually blew up.
Oh, yeah.
And she blew us off.
We deserve that.
Yes,
because
we did.
We did accidentally blow her off. And it was just one of them things where she just wasn't in the public eye. And I was kind of intimidated by her because her credentials were like through the roof. Right. And I was just like, gosh, what are we going to talk about? I mean, we joke around on this show. I mean, what's her sense of humor like? You know? But the point is, here's the point. The point is I can put that in my pile of information about Omarosa. When you put all the other stuff together, if you ask yourself, what did she turn on Trump or was she always a mole? Well, you put together the fact that she didn't just start recording Donald Trump and everybody else in the administration when she started to question whether or not her tenure there was going to be successful. It was like the moment she got there, she was going to work. Give me the tape recorder and just tape everybody. I mean, it's clear to me when you take that and everything else into context, she was a mole from day one. She didn't want to talk to us because she didn't want to have any part in the Trump movement as far as making it a success or furthering it. And when you hear her say positive things about Trump, guys, Trump is the coattails, all right? If you're riding a horse to where it needs to go, if you're riding a horse to the glue factory, you're going to feed it and you're going to be nice to it and you're going to say, come on, we got to make it to the glue factory. But you're bringing it there to kill it, right? You're going to sell it to the glue factory. You're going to earn money. But the thing is that's what Omarosa was – that's how she viewed it. We need to get Trump elected. Think about, put yourself in an Omarosa's shoes and make yourself as selfish and evil as possible in order for you to properly get in the correct mindset. We call that method acting. And think about what you need to do in order to maximize the damage to Trump. Well, first and foremost, you have to help him get elected, because if he ends up not getting elected, and let's just take the damage out of it, all right? If you just want to further your own cause as far as it can go, you want to get personally yourself as far as you can possibly go, and you're riding the coattails of Trump, what are you going to do? You're going to get out the whip and you're going to whip, that movement until it takes you to where you need to go. And that's what she did. And so in hindsight, it's clear that she was always a snake in the grass. She was always trying to she was motivated by her own personal power and influence and whatnot, and money, of course. And she was also influenced to try to get back at Trump. I think she always probably harbored a resentment and a need to get even with him from the day he fired her. Because as you know, she did not win The Apprentice. No, she didn't. And so,
speaking about that, did you know that Omarosa worked for the Clinton? She was involved in Bill Clinton's administration. She was moved 3 different positions, technically fired because she couldn't get with it and she couldn't do her job. So they moved her to another, and finally the 4th position that she held with Clinton, they said, "Get out of here. Do not collect your stuff. Do not pass go. Do not go. Get out of here."
You know, it's really sad that I know what Trump is thinking. I know he was like, I just want to see her do well, and you can't will somebody to do well when they have such a self-sabotaging attitude.
Well, now that we've actually talked about it for a few seconds, I think I might as well just play her video, no?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Here's Omarosa and a look back. This is the GOP Flashback Sunday with the GOP and Omarosa.
So happy when Donald Trump declared that he was going to run.
You all know him as the president. I know him as a friend.
I know his
Right.
heart.
That's a
Donald
lie.
Trump is a trailblazer on women issues.
So not only do I support him as a human being who has incredible character and a great vision, but his policies affect my community where I live in Los Angeles, and that's really why I stand by him.
And I believe that you will see that this president is going to be incredible for this country, and I am excited about what's happening with this administration. I'm very honored to be a part of it. He was the right choice for America. When I say Trump train, I want you to say choo choo.
There's
Y'all
Laura
ready?
Trump. There's Laura Trump.
Trump train!
Diamond
Trump
and silk.
train! Trump train!
And words up on the screen said, "I guess you forgot about these tapes."
Yeah, and the thing is, look, she's just a liar. I don't think that she was really being honest with saying that. And what I mean, not honest, she did actually want Trump to achieve the presidency because that was her selfish motive was it was going to empower her to get Trump as far as she knew she was riding his coattails,
Right.
you know,
Right.
so I think she was being honest when it comes to trying to get Trump elected, but she wasn't his friend. I think this goes all the way back to the first time she got fired. And the thing is she failed, and that's key. She is an utter failure, and at this point in time, with everything out on the table, the cards are laid over, everybody could see she has lost, and she has no chance at another hand. She was all in at the poker table, and she lost. She gives up all of her chips. She stands up. She has to walk away, and there is no re-entry. Her tournament is done. There's nothing left for her.
And think about this, and it just popped in my head. Colin Kaepernick was actually in the news this week, and this goes hand in hand. She's become Omarosa is toxic waste, just like Colin Kaepernick and the Denver Broncos owner Elway. Elway said,
John Elway.
Yeah, Colin Kaepernick. Elway said, we attempted to bring Colin Kaepernick onto the team back in the day.
Wait, are you calling Colin Kaepernick the Omarosa of the NFL?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
And he said, hold on, Colin said no.
Oh, my God.
And now just recently, Colin contacted the Denver Broncos, said, can I come? Is that offer still available? And John Elway said, no, man, you had your chance. That's it. It's over. Toxic waste. Now, this, I don't know where this clip belongs, but this is kind of something that broke this afternoon or broke this morning in CNN world. CNN likes to have really hardcore liberals, and then every once in a while he'll have a, what is the guy's name? Damn it.
Who?
I'm going to call him Pierce, this Trump supporter.
Oh, I don't even know him.
Damn it. Anyways, so Trump supporter, black, very intelligent man that supports Trump that is on CNN. And I love it. And he was on CNN this morning with a former Intel guy.
Okay.
And this is what happens on CNN. This is who they hire. This guy is on regularly.
I think he's former FBI.
Okay, and he's on CNN as a paid shill on a regular basis.
Oh, this is that explosive interview. Okay, I'm just now getting up to speed, people.
Okay. So it's just a real clip, 2-minute interview.
It's the Mudd interview.
Yeah.
Philip Mudd.
Well, that's the title of the clip. I don't know why I didn't think that. Mudd.
That's
Philip
a good
Mudd.
idea to check the title of the clip. That's a good idea.
So Mudd goes nuts, and then right after Mudd goes nuts, there's a couple other clips of things that he has said in the past that are horrific. And he has said these on CNN. I did bleep out the bad words, but he has said these things time and time again, and CNN keeps him on, and I don't know why. Here we go.
A lot of these people that have these security clearances, and this is the secret in the swampy Washington, D.C., they have them and they keep them because it's profitable for them after they leave government. Because if you have a security clearance, especially high-level security clearances, your contracts and your consulting gig pay you a lot more money because of the access that you have. I hope the president continues to do this, and I hope he adds Omarosa to the list, because if she has a clearance, she too, because of her actions, should have it revoked.
Well, I don't know if I'd put Omarosa in the same category of the 75 people who signed those letters, but Phil Mudd.
Okay. Phil Mudd right now is biting his tongue.
I saw it before he even started talking. Like while the other guy was still talking, you could just see the steam emanating from the ears.
He's seething, and his tongue is like it's bent around, and it's like a big fat like it's on purpose to keep him from screaming.
That's what it is. He's using his tongue as a gag.
Yes.
I imagine you want to react.
Profitable, Paris. When I am requested to sit on an advisory board, let me ask you one question. How much do you think I'm paid to do that at the request of the U.S. government? Give me one answer, and you got 10 seconds.
Whoa! I'll ask you a question. How much are you paid for your consulting and contracting gig? For being a
I have no contracts
official?
with the U.S. government that pay money.
I'm not talking.
Zero.
And this is the thing.
When
I'm not talking about what the federal
offer advice to the U.S. government,
Phil,
I get paid
honest.
zero.
Phil, let's be
That's
honest.
it.
I'm not talking about your role with the federal government. I'm talking about the
who are you
contracting
talking about?
gigs that
You
you
talking
get
about
from being
General
a
Hayden?
consultant and a contractor. The consulting firms that they form and that you all get is because you get more money when having a consultant for having the security clearance.
That is
Stop acting like that
incorrect.
doesn't happen.
I have
That's the
zero
truth.
consulting relationships with the U.S. government. Zero.
I'm not talking, Phil, that's a good talking point. I'm not talking about relationships with the government. I'm talking about in the private sector. When you have a security
I
clearance
have
and you
zero
keep it.
relationships with the private sector that involve my security clearance. Zero.
He's on
I get
CNN.
$0 from consulting companies that deal with the U.S. government.
Yeah, you got a good point. He is on CNN, Kerry. Yeah, that's true.
Are we clear?
Well, I will be clear in saying that everybody in Washington, D.C. knows if you don't want to be honest about it, that's on you. But if you have a security
called him a
clearance and you
liar.
keep it, you
We're
get
done,
more
Jim.
money to
We're
have
done. Get out.
Phil,
it. It's not your show, so I'm
25 years
saying
in
right
the service,
here.
and this is
Don't
the
be
shit
so
I get.
defensive about
Oh,
that.
he said the
Don't be
S
so-
word.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Oh, he dropped the S-bomb.
Well, he dropped F-bombs before on CNN.
Oh, you mean before this interview?
Yes.
So they know what he's about.
He dropped the N-bomb, too.
They might even tell him, hey, listen, Philip, buddy, we need you to lose your crap again. We need you to totally lose your temper. This is what we pay you for. We pay you to lose your temper. You better do it.
And you're an old white guy, and we'll tag you as some kind of alt-right.
Defensive about this. Your voice is still here. You can still do whatever you want.
let's
But the
take a beat.
politicalization of the intelligence community under this administration, with the people coming on here every day, tweeting and talking about this administration, you all have made it about politics, not the president.
Let's take a beat here for a second.
Wow.
And Phil, I
He just
appreciate
got
that.
owned.
We acknowledge in this country that we cannot accept this.
This is him. This
I can't
is Mud.
do a wolf. I'm sorry. We can't
That's
do
him?
Yeah, that's Mud.
And the Oscar goes to...
What was your response, Phil Mudd?
Let me give you one bottom line. As a former government official, government's going to kill this guy.
Well, Tree Gowdy
He was talking about Donald Trump. Government's going to kill this guy.
He was the one. Oh, my gosh.
got to have his ass kicked.
I am a proud shitholer. Shitholers built this country 110 years ago. They were called slopers and slant eyes.
What? Yes!
One generation called you a nigger.
Black people
When we
still.
called a Chinese man a slant eye, when we called a man from Guatemala a spick and a wetback, and we called a black man a nigger.
Oh, hell
Oh, that's pretty good.
All
That's
right, I
pretty good.
gotta give props up to the
Infowars
Infowars.
put that together. That is too funny.
That was on. Hey, that was on the fly. That was fact check on the fly.
Oh, that's too funny. Oh gosh. Well, I mean, this guy is obviously unhinged.
Apparently, a little bit.
What an idiot.
So he's talking about, and I forgot about the details of the clip. I just remembered him going completely ape, losing his S.
Well, here's the thing. Now that we know, based on prior interviews, how crazy this guy is, then the guy he was debating, which we still don't know his name. Sorry about
No,
that.
Paris.
Oh, Paris. Paris knew what he was. You could tell he was totally cool, calm and collected, cool as a cucumber.
Yeah.
And he just kept on, and he had really great, witty, quick comebacks, very intellectual. And he must have known it was coming. He knew that this guy was going to lose it. And he called him a liar in the most civilized way I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, this by NoWorldOrder.com. Phil Mudd, the great-grandson of the man who conspired with John Wilkes Booth to kill President Lincoln.
Oh, and of course he doesn't sound like, if you're an FBI guy at the high levels and you say somebody's going to kill this guy, the president.
Yeah.
It sounds like a message, a dog whistle.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm telling you, I'm suggesting if you're one of these guys in the deep state, certainly you've got to be full of those feelings of wanting to kill the sitting president. You've got to be. And if you're not, there's something wrong with you.
So when you type in Trump support Paris, the first 3 videos that pop up, 2 of them are Paris Denard having this conversation with ex-CIA official. So old boy is an ex-CIA official calling...
Did you hear his
using racist epithets to describe every race, well, not every race, but the Asians, South Americans, and black Americans.
Every race except for whites.
I know. Oh my God.
Did you hear his mic clip? By the way, sometimes we mess around and well, that's me, messing around with the volume, the audio, the gains. And sometimes it sounds not too good because sometimes it'll clip. What you heard Mudd saying and screaming, and it was clipping the mic, that was CNN's mic. That was breaking CNN's mic.
Yeah.
You got 10 seconds! Go! Yeah, I don't know.
It's like old boy from your favorite movie, the Marines.
Lee Ermey?
Yeah, Lee Ermey. God rest his soul.
Not Army. Oh, my gosh. He's rolling in his grave right now. Ermey.
Lee Ermey. You said Army.
No, Ermey.
Lee Ermey. God rest his soul. Anywho,
Gunnery Sergeant Hartman was his character in Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, and they put him in there because he wasn't the actor. He was supposed to train the actor, but he did.
He was the military consultant,
right?
And finally, he came in and
he's like, I can't take this anymore.
He actually started screaming at old boy, the director.
Really?
Yeah, and he was worried. He actually was worried because he thought, well, if I really piss him off, it's going to cause him to fire me.
Right, right.
But I'm going all out, and he went full out, full drill instructor.
Full Metal Jacket.
He went Full Metal Jacket on him. And Stanley Kubrick is who he did this to. And Stanley was just like, I really need to get rid of the other guy, don't I?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
he may have actually came in and said that to him.
Right, you need to get rid of this other guy.
What is your major malfunction, numbnuts? You know what your problem is, Stanley?
I'm going to rip your head off and No, I'm never.
Your mom and dad didn't give you enough attention as a child. Anyway.
Good times. So this whole ordeal, this back and forth, was all about this week. Disgraced ex-CIA head, the head of the CIA, John Brennan, was installed as the head of the CIA by Barack Hussein Obama in 2013 and was henceforth removed by 2017. The problem is, and I don't understand this, but the problem is that they retain their security clearances.
Yeah, this is really convoluted. I was listening to somebody on Meet the Press this morning.
Okay.
Or Face the Nation, one of the two. To me, they're the same thing, just different channels.
Right.
And he was going on and on and on about how, yeah, sure, the president can revoke security clearances, but you need to have extraordinary evidence that proves that this is of national security importance to remove this person's security clearance. I cannot believe I was hearing this. This is the complete ass backwards thing. It's like children, toddlers, and schoolboys and girls can drive cars around on the street.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
For you to revoke their license would take extraordinary evidence that the risk of pedestrians on the street and on the sidewalks is of great concern. And if you can't prove that, you certainly can't take away these toddlers' driver's licenses. I mean, my goodness. That's pretty much what they were doing. It's just mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. It's the framing of the argument is so convoluted that you have a right to have the security clearance And that to take it away, wow, we've got to have an act of Congress, because to oppress somebody's rights like that, the right to just waltz right into a secure place and start rummaging through files, secret files and classified documents, for them to take that right from you, I mean, that's unbelievable.
Well, and think about this too, folks. This is what Paris, I hope I'm saying his last name right, Paris Denarn, his whole comment, his whole thing was, everybody in D.C. knows that when you're a former Intel individual, guy or girl, former Intel, and you want to continue to make tens of millions and thousands of dollars, whatever it be, you retain your security clearance and you set up a consulting firm and you consult politicians, and they can talk to you directly because of your security clearance. Right. They can talk to you about without you having to go and get your clearance.
Yeah, it's like, imagine if I installed a machine gun that retracts out of my car, and that's got to remain secret.
Okay.
If I had to tell Brian, who doesn't necessarily need to know that I have a machine gun installed in the car, but I know that he has a secret security clearance,
or even top secret,
whatever. Yeah. That would tell me, that's an indication to me that it would be safe for me to tell him, because he's not going to go and tell other people. But maybe my need to tell him would require me to tell him, but the fact that he has the clearance tells me that it's safe to do so.
Right.
We know that Brennan was using this information to leak and all that. And this is the exact reason. You got to ask yourself, people, what purpose is it to give somebody a security clearance? What purpose is it to prevent somebody from having access to classified documents? It is to prevent them from divulging it and letting it get into the hands of the wrong people. And when you give it to the press, you're giving it to everybody.
Everybody.
Unless you're telling me that this person that considers himself a journalist doesn't publish anything.
No, that doesn't happen anymore.
If he does publish something, it would be a document that would also be classified that only some people would have access to. So the whole purpose of classifying documents and secrets and having secrets and preventing a vast majority, like the default position is that the material remains secret. What does secret mean? If I have a secret from your son, that means that I don't tell him and that I don't tell anybody that could possibly get back to him. That's the purpose, right?
Right.
So the default position of secrets is that you don't tell people and you limit the access that people would have to it. In fact, the access has to be extremely controlled, or else it's never going to remain a secret.
Unless you're a university professor and your best friend is James Comey and he hands you a couple of notes and you just kind of slip your mud.
So that being said,
that's awful too.
This is just simple logic, people. As soon as there is a demonstration of somebody who has a secret security clearance, who has given it to people that don't have a secret security clearance, that should be the very lowest rung that would allow their boss or somebody that's in charge of secret security clearances to revoke it.
Yeah.
That should be the simplest. Let's see. Rules for revoking security clearances.
Okay.
Number one, the very first one should be, well, the guy I'm thinking about revoking it gave the information to the press.
Okay, Carrie.
Oh
here's a more real. Here's this one hits home. Carrie, back in the 90s, worked on Harrier aircraft in the Marine Corps.
Right.
And I was a machinist, and I would go out and fix the mess-ups of the mechanics on the F-16s out in the F-16, because 90% of damage is done by mechanics. But that's okay.
Because we're trying to fix stuff, and it's hard. It's hard to look. You have a 24-inch wrench that you have to wrench on a nut that's in a hole that's 6 inches by 6 inches.
Yeah, that ain't working.
You're going to be doing some damage.
So, Carrie, I worked with what we called the TCTOs. I don't know if the technical orders.
Okay, we probably called it something else.
Yeah. Okay, so if I took a page out of the TCTO of the F-16, you took a page out of your manual of the Harrier, and you walked off base and handed it to a random stranger, and they found out.
Well, what if I knew the person?
Okay, if you knew the person and you hand it to them and they found out.
Okay.
Let me tell you right now, I would be brought up on charges.
Oh, yeah. Me
oh,
too.
my
And in fact, I thought it was
goodness.
interesting. It looked like, this is back before the internet and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We had computers, but it was like DOS and, whatever. But, we had a wall of manuals.
Oh, yeah.
You slide it out like, what I got to remove and replace this component. Which manual is it? And you slide it out and you take it out. And it's funny because we all knew how to do it, so we didn't really look at the manual. But QA required us to have a manual because the details, details.
Well, you got to have it laid out like you're actually using it, whether you use it or not.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And they may even come out. Oh, they audited. Yeah, they would come out and say, so what page are you in here, Corporal Smith?
Right.
So, but anyway. But we knew, and I actually was surprised because I was 18, 19, 20 years old. I found out that all those documents, all those manuals were all classified. And I was just like, wow, really? Like, they're just manuals, whatever. But if somebody were to get their hands on all of that, they could start stealing Harriers, and then they would be able to work on them.
You could, not even steal them, but you can reverse engineer them. You have the blueprints, you have the plans.
Right. You know how the fuel system works, how everything works.
This is how John Kerry and who's his buddy? John Kerry and his son and another politician's son. Oh, I think it was Joe Biden. Joe Biden's son and John Kerry's son set up a shell company and added a Chinese a foreign entity to their corporation in America.
Okay.
And they've been getting their hands on government documents like that.
Yeah. This is the problem with globalists. It's interesting. I'm just now realizing, this is literally just popping in my head right now. There's an incompatibility with nationalists and globalists. Globalists are like, yeah, so what? I got a Chinese national in my consulting firm where we deal with all kinds of stuff that, yeah, sure, it's technically classified, but what does it mean? What are we keeping secrets for? Why do we need to keep secrets? This is, what are you in a clubhouse and, no girls allowed? I mean, what are we doing here? That's the attitude of globalists, where nationalists are like, these people want to kill us. Or they want to take us over, or they want to invade, or whatever, or they can invade. Why don't we just minimize that potential and not divulge the information that would allow them to build the weapons of war to destroy us? Can we avoid that? That's the difference between your nationalists and your globalists. And you can see how incompatible it is. You can't have a nationalist agenda where we're just strengthening ourselves so that we can defend ourselves. But when we give away all of the secrets of weapons of war to everybody else in the world, it requires us to put in a lot more money, bodies, research and development, labor, all of the above into defense.
Right.
Because, look, we had Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, or whoever they were, Rosenberg, give away nuclear secrets to the Soviet Union. Fast forward 30, 40 years, and we have a president who claims that he needed to invent something called Star Wars, where we're shooting lasers at ICBMs in space. And then we found out later he was bluffing.
Yeah.
But he had to do it. He had to bluff in order to freak them out and to win the Cold War. Why don't we just keep the secrets? That way we don't have to worry about building Star Wars in space. That's what it really boils down to.
So CIA John Brennan, obviously he lost his credentials, or he lost his clearance this week.
Good.
And when I say lost it,
Good.
Donald Trump revoked it. And I don't know if it was specifically Donald Trump who physically did it, because there's levers in the back room, and you go back there, you find the name, and you flip the switch, flip the lever. Okay, that guy's off.
It's probably like a document.
I know. I'm just joking. They're jokes, man. They're just jokes.
I'm just trying to.
But everybody was blaming Donald Trump directly and getting all hysterical. When has a president ever stepped in to do this? And I'm like, hey, step in and do it, dog. Whatever it takes, do it.
The fact that other presidents haven't, and in their defense, in the past president's defense, I don't think we've had such a serious deep state coup happening with the other presidents. And when it comes to deep state coups, there's going to have to be steps taken to fight it off. And part of the countermeasures to a deep state coup is to start mass revoking the kind of these clearances give the coup masters the power to pull this stuff off. It gives them another weapon in their arsenal. And so by taking this away from them, it's definitely putting a dent in the coup.
Yes, absolutely. And 12 ex-Intel officials slammed Trump for ill-considered and unprecedented action against Brennan, writes Politico, which is a
pure
awful
propaganda.
rag. Politico wrote, Brennan revoked security clearance is politically motivated. And so John Brennan took to Twitter. He is on Twitter.
Well,
Brennan.
If you misuse a security clearance specifically for political reasons, which we all should know at this point that that's what's happening, or that's what has happened, and I guarantee you is continuing to happen for those who still have their security clearance who are involved with the coup, then revoking it can be spun, aka lied about in the press, that it was revoked for political reasons. But in reality, you can't get to claim. You don't get to claim that.
Right.
The guy abused his security clearance specifically for political reasons in order to hurt his political opposition.
Think about it. The sitting president, he's calling the sitting president on a regular basis a traitor, and he's treasonous. Folks, these are words that you use when we're at war. We're not at war, and the consequence of traitor and treason is death.
It's projection, I'll tell you that.
It's absolutely, yeah, well, definitely. So, John Brennan, you can follow him on Twitter. I do. I tweet back at him. I reply to him. He hasn't blocked me.
You got to fight it back. You got to fight it back. If he tweets something, I'm not saying you should just gratuitously go off on him all the time, because you don't want to necessarily get blocked because you want to continue the fight. But when you see something that either A, you know for a fact is false, and you know why it's false, by all means, please respond. And you could be, I think the more respectful you are, the better, because you have the nuke in your hand, which is the evidence that what he's saying is totally false or made up, or the best is hypocritical. If you can point out a double standard or hypocrisy in a tweet, that's gold.
Destruction.
That's gold. Yeah.
Yeah. Take the road that Paris Denard took.
Oh yeah, he made mud look so stupid.
I was waiting for him to cry again.
He got drugged through the mud.
And you know what? And he was like, nope. And he sidestepped
Not
it
today. So John Brennan tweeted out this week, this action is part of a broader effort by Mr. Trump to suppress freedom of speech.
How? Somebody explain this logic.
And punish critics. It should
Why do you need a security clearance to critique somebody? This is really scary.
It should gravely worry all Americans, including intelligence professionals, about the cost of speaking out. My principles are worth far more than clearances.
All right, well, then you don't need it. He just admitted he doesn't need it.
I will not relent.
They said I'm not allowed in the club, and I'm mad.
No more in the club.
They said no nerds in the club, and that's why they won't let me in. Mommy! He's literally crying to mommy right now.
So Andrea Mitchell.
And he's hoping that mommy goes to the clubhouse and says, now Johnny, now Brian. Brian, you've got to let him in.
Come on now. This is not fair. Okay?
You should let him in.
We need to make this fair.
And then he goes in, and everybody's just looking at him like, "You're such an idiot."
We don't even want to be in here anymore. I think we're all leaving. You stay in here by yourself, fool. No, you can't come with us to the store.
I get to be in the cool clubhouse
by yourself. So no, but John Brennan is suspected of leaking. Whether they have proof of it or not, I'm not sure about that. But I'm sure they have absolutely proof of a lot of things, because this week.
Before you get to that thought. Do you understand?
Giuliani's been screaming about this all week, but go ahead. Yeah.
Do you know the logic that if you get your security clearance revoked, it's a suppression of freedom of speech? I mean, obviously, legally it's not, but what I'm saying, I'm trying to figure out the logic.
Well, he's still on Twitter. Yeah. He's still got his Twitter account, so they didn't take that from him.
And they're definitely letting him on any talk show or news outlet or anything to get an interview, so he's got the bullhorn.
He's got more speech affecting more people than we do.
Yeah, I just to say it. You better explain it further. Explain to me how suddenly your speech is. I mean, by his. Okay, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna try to interpret it on the fly. If his logic is correct, that taking a security clearance affects his freedom of speech.
Yes, it does. Yes.
Then I have the right to go demand a security clearance and demand to see any classified document because I'm an American.
Well, not only that, but the First Amendment protects our freedom of speech,
and so that we should be able to waltz right into the Pentagon and start rifling through any random filing cabinet we want to, because they still have file cabinets.
Yes.
You know they still have them. Oh, my God.
I want to go in that warehouse at the end of Indiana Jones.
Oh, that's right. We should be allowed in there.
Yeah. I want to go in the warehouse and I want to start rummaging through the boxes.
Okay, so I'll give you a real quick story here. A friend of mine who was an enlisted, low-level enlisted. I think he was an E3 at the time.
Well, that's us. I mean.
Well, I was an E4 eventually. But at the time, it really proves the point. Enlisted. And he was taken by an 06.
Oh, that's big.
That's like 20 ranks higher. It's way up there.
Well, it's a whole nother division. It's a whole nother, an 06?
His 06 took him to the flight simulator, which was every bit as epic as you could ever imagine it is. Oh. Every bit as epic.
There's no video game that could ever compare to it.
Yeah, and he took him there as a reward for back then, we were transitioning from filing cabinets to databases.
Okay.
And everybody thought, oh, my gosh, it's going to take years to get all these files transferred to data or, digital.
Yeah.
And him and a bunch of friends got together, and he just, round up the posse, and they just started going to town, day and night. And they had this thing done way faster than they ever thought. And so to reward him, he said, hey, you want to go to Flight Simulator? So he goes to Flight Simulator, and he flies around the Harrier and all this kind of stuff. And afterwards, he goes up to the people running the Flight Simulator, and he says, I got a question for you. How do you get I
want to come in here on a regular basis.
He basically, and before he said that, he was complimenting. He's like, I really love this place. I love what you've done here. He was buttering this guy up, and he said, it'd be awesome if I could come here without the 06.
Yeah, because the 06 is busy.
I mean, you need to be an officer to come in here, right? And he was like, no, the only thing you can't come in here by yourself unless you have a secret security clearance. Do you have one?
Oh, we had it. I had a secret.
He didn't. He was a corpsman. So all he did was saw people's legs off when needed.
I had a secret clearance. Yeah, I could have gone in.
Okay.
But not by yourself.
Right, but you got to own it. No. If you have the secret security clearance, the other requirement is if you're not scheduled, you can't just waltz in if somebody else is scheduled. They and also a pilot can trump you
everybody,
out of your
right.
Actually, that's not exactly true, but anyway, that's a whole different part of the story. So he was like, "Damn, I'm gonna have a secret security clearance." So he goes to S2 or whatever, the Intel building. And he goes in there as an E3, and he's like, yep, here for a secret security clearance. I got to get one. They're like, oh, you got to get a secret security clearance?
Yeah, I have to have it.
Well, so what do you need it for? He's like, access to the flight simulator. And they're like, that's right. You do need that. All right.
Yeah. Oh, man. Catch me if you can.
So he shows back up the flight simulator, and he's like, here it is. And they're like, wow, okay, so how'd you get that? And he said, well, I told him that can't get the flight simulator without a secret. And he was like, that's right.
That's right. I told you. Uh-huh.
So he started scheduling himself flight simulator time.
Dude.
So yeah, that's how it's done.
Didn't you say that? Did you get to go?
Yeah. Well, he was friends with me.
It. Yeah.
So
you went with it.
Now, I don't even remember. I don't think we had secret. I was a mechanic. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. I can't remember.
Yeah, if you worked on the Harriers, you had a secret security clearance.
And I don't remember going through any kind of a formal process.
No, they
just
said
a lot of paperwork that you do all at once.
It's in all the paperwork.
It probably makes sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, he said, well, yeah, you want to go? So he was able to bring me as a guest. And when I would show up, he would say, don't worry, Carrie's with me. I was like an E4 and he's an E3. Now, another little cool part of the story that we just talked about a second ago. Apparently, if you're scheduled, you can't be bumped. And there were 03 captains.
No.
There were captains who were actual pilots. They were pilots.
Okay.
And they would come in, they'd be like, oh, damn, I got to wait for this guy to get done. And they would be waiting for us to be done.
Wow.
And then we'd leave, and they'd be like looking at us like,
okay, so
I saw you working on I saw you refueling the plane. What's going on here?
So, yeah, I saw you on the flight line. Aren't you a crew chief? What are you doing up in here?
I saw you taxing me out of here. What's going on here?
So did he ever get found out?
I think eventually somebody said something.
Started complaining.
And he fought it for a while. He was like, I have secret security clearance.
I scheduled time.
Yeah. And so it took a long time, but I think finally after like a year and a half.
Wow.
Like a year and a half of this. Oh, I remember what got him in trouble.
Uh-oh.
If you have a secret security clearance and you're totally able, not only are you able to go, but you're able to learn all the weapon systems.
Oh, wow.
And he did. He learned all the weapon systems. Here's what got him in trouble. He was in my ear in the intercom or whatever while I was flying, and he was walking me through the weapon system and teaching me how to unlock it and to arm it and to shoot.
Okay, cool.
Afterwards, they were like, you're technically not supposed to show him how to fire the missiles.
Oh, wow.
So he got in trouble for that. But at first, he didn't lose it. It was a long process. They had to go through the same kind of channels that Trump probably has to go through to revoke Brennan's. Yeah. So it was like months and months and months later, they finally were like, you're out of here.
Oh, that's so funny. So back to Brennan, back to Twitter. Andrea Mitchell, who won a Lifetime Achievement Award for being a shill to the Democrat Party just recently, she tweeted out, all three networks leading evening news with what they call unprecedented White House attempt to silence critic John Brennan.
Oh, John Brennan's now. His official professional title is critic.
Yeah, silenced critic.
Critic, so that he was silenced by Trump.
Right.
You don't need a security clearance. So let me get this straight. So here in America, in order to critique somebody, you have to have a
then we need to
license
get
do
one.
so.
Well, then we need to get one. Somebody needs to give us.
We are literally breaking the law right now. Yeah, we're breaking the law by criticizing. Well, does it have to be criticizing Trump? Which, by the way, we criticized Obama for 2 years on this program while he was president.
Here's your license. Here's my business card. Set that up.
I don't see a watermark or a.
Oh man, that's not going to serve as so I can critique.
It's a business card. Oh, where's that one? Oh, here we go.
Oh, there you go.
Now we got
you got the Trump pass.
The media
you got the hall pass.
So the Trump media hall pass right there. This technically is overboard because the First Amendment. Where's the Constitution? You got the Constitution laying around here.
I have that book.
Yeah. Yeah. That is all the license you need to critique somebody, but. This enables you to critique them from a certain location. Anyway, he's looking through.
I'm looking through the lockbox.
Is my social security in there?
Yeah, I got it. It's covered.
Okay. Okay. That's good.
So Andrea Mitchell.
You're supposed to say it's full of IOUs.
Oh, it is. Oh, there's plenty of them in there. So Andrea Mitchell, it's going on. The media is covering for them. And Cheryl Atkinson, who formerly worked for NBC, maybe, and was spied on by Barack Obama and had some problems with Barack Obama and all kinds of stuff because she was talking real news. Mm-hmm. So she tweeted out, remember, John Brennan is many things, but he is not an ordinary critic. His greatest hits include misleading Senate intel Democrats about his CIA spying on Congress and got away with it. He's now a TV news analyst.
That's a very, very true statement. And, you know, it actually conjures up a memory of mine from this past week. Notice how she picked up on the use of the word critic, as if that's now a title that requires a secret security clearance. It was Rush Limbaugh who pointed out that the secret security clearance turns into a way to mislead the public. And how does that happen? The way it happens is if I say something about Barack Obama while he's president, you guys are like, yeah, it's just some guy on a radio show or whatever. Back then it was literally just a audio only podcast. And so there's a lot of doubt that comes with a critic like me, who's just some guy that's a military veteran but is just voicing his opinion. But when you have a secret security clearance and you're fresh out of the deep state and because of the secret security clearance, there's a perception amongst the public at large that you're still connected to the deep state. You're actually a part of it because you're able to walk in that locked door and say, everybody sit down. It's just me, John Brennan. I still have my secret security clearance.
I'm good to go.
You guys keep going. I'm going to listen in.
Yeah, don't make never mind. Don't think I'm just a fly on the wall.
Right. So when Brennan walks out from the shadows, there's this perception. And by the way, it's wrong. And to imply that this is true is actually dishonest on his part. There's this implication that when he says that Donald Trump colluded with Russians, and we know this, and Donald Trump lies, and Donald Trump is doing all this bad stuff, that he's privy to information that we're not, which isn't exactly true. But the security clearance gives that false impression.
Right. It lends credence to the things he's saying. And not only that, but he could be, and he actually did, shuffle papers in the background to cause problems.
What?
I'm just saying.
What?
Yeah.
He say, I got my latest report here straight from the file cabinet of the Pentagon.
Yeah. I did not get this
Trump is a liar.
I did not get this from Christopher Steele or Fusion GPS. I did not.
Oh, gosh.
Glenn Simpson. I just went ahead and wrote this up myself. I was handed this.
And that's what it really boils down to. You're not silencing him. Everybody has the right to say whatever they want. What you're doing is you're preventing him from misleading the public. That's really what you're doing.
Right.
And so I think that it's great. And Trump and everybody else in the administration that is not a traitor or involved in a coup is the winner in this.
Right. And so Sean Davis, blue check mark on Twitter. It's Sean, SEANDAV. Sean Davis. He is a co-founder of Federalist. He's a chainsaw bayonet enthusiast, presidential campaign vet.
I thought that was a joke. There really is a chainsaw bayonet.
Well, yeah, I had a picture of one that I actually posted.
Actually,
way back in the day.
I remember there was a video showing the installation of one.
Yes.
I think that's a video game thing.
Yeah. So presidential campaign vet, former chief instigator for Senator Tom Corbin. He tweeted out, tweeted out, an eternal top secret security clearance is a God-given, unalienable right for ex-government employees.
No, it's not.
Who lied to Congress under oath.
Oh.
The things you learn from watching CNN.
Yes.
And this, I have a little show note here. Pretty scathing statement against John Brennan here.
You could show that to them.
Oh, I probably could, couldn't I? All right. Let's make this bigger.
Oh, my gosh. That statement he has attached there is tiny. Okay, go ahead.
Just real quick. This statement, John Brennan, here by Senator Richard Burr, the chairman of Senate Intel Committee. And he says, Director Brennan's recent statements purport to know as fact that the Trump campaign colluded with a foreign power. If Director Brennan's statement is based on intelligence he received while still leading the CIA, why didn't he include it in the Intel Community Assessment released in 2017? If his statement is based on intel he has seen since leaving the office, it constitutes an intelligence breach.
Yes.
If he has some other personal knowledge of or evidence of collusion, it should be disclosed to the special counsel, not the New York Slimes.
Exactly. Well, what it boils down to is they're trying to create a narrative that's not true, because if it were true, he would divulge this to the proper channels of the government for further review, for analysis, and then possibly charges of some kind.
Well, and not only that, but he's saying it should have been included. If you got evidence, you're claiming that he did collude.
Right.
Why didn't you put it in your report in 2017?
Yeah, what it really boils down to is it's kind of hard evidence that collusion is made up, and he's just lying right now for public consumption. It is the necessary thing that the public believe that there was Russian collusion.
Yeah, so Sean Hannity said several other former officials need security clearances revoked, and Don, my Mr. Trump, is President Trump. His statement was, as part of this review, because Donald Trump is now reviewing security clearances of former employees. He says, as part of this review, I'm evaluating action with respect to the following individuals. So these individuals are now under review and possibly will be revoked their clearances. I'm shocked at the list of people that have clearances, because the names I'm going to give you currently have secret clearances or top secret clearances, and Trump is thinking about revoking them. First off, James Clapper, James Comey.
That's
terrible. You heard me say right.
That's right. Unbelievable.
James F. Comey. I think that's his middle name, F. Michael Hayden, and we will get into him in a little bit. Sally Yates.
Who should be in prison.
Yep, fired Attorney General. Susan, I saw the video that started Benghazi Rice.
She should definitely be in prison.
Andrew, I've done been fired too. McCabe.
He's the one that was fired right before he was able to collect his pension?
Yes, hashtag me too.
All right.
Too soon? I don't know. And disgraced, despicable, lied under oath. Peter, I guess I part Russian because my last name is Strzok and it's spelled Russian.
No, I was thinking, Peter, you can't handle the truth. Stroke.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect.
I'm telling you, man. I'm the one that first brought that up, I was waiting for somebody to scream, did you order the code red? Seriously. And nobody was picking up on it at first, and then finally I was listening to some talk show where they finally, it was Glenn Beck, where Glenn Beck and his idiot Stu were pointing out that it reminded him of the scene from A Few Good Men, and I'm like, they must listen to Smith Radio.
Yeah,
apparently.
they definitely do. So Lisa, scorned woman, Paige.
She's just a victim in all this.
And Bruce Orr. Do you know Bruce Orr? You're going to get to know him very, very well. Bruce Orr is definitely, he's the only one out of all these people that are being looked at right now. Bruce Orr is the only one still employed who should probably go to prison. Yeah.
He may end up just totally going to prison. Like, does he show up to an office every day?
Yeah. Well, media has lost their mind because now, since he's under review, he can't do his job. And they're upset.
That's probably a good thing.
I think that's a very, very good thing. He should be let out in handcuffs and not allowed to delete, erase anything on his computer, any of his memos, emails, anything. But we'll get in that in a second. And
is he trying to do like a right-click send to trash, like really, really carefully, because he knows like there's video cameras like watching him, and he's like, they won't see this.
If I go really, really slow,
and like look at something else, like I'm not looking at it,
like I'm accident. Oh, did I?
Oh,
well, here's the thing, folks. I was told by a forensic lawyer, a lawyer who hires does high corporate in law, and she said that she hires forensic people to go into the computers of these subpoenaed computers, and they go in there to find stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, if you have a PC
I can't believe this.
And
I'll take your word for it, but
and you delete it, it ain't really gone.
Well, I knew that about PCs, but you said about an Apple?
She said, and she made the comment, she said, that is why you will find high-up CEOs all use Apple products. Primarily, they don't crash, but
yeah, right.
Secondarily, when you hit delete on an Apple, it's bleach bitted. Not that it uses bleach bit.
Well, it's essentially the same thing.
It's acid washed.
Yeah. We said this.
Just like my jeans.
Just to give you a little bit of a tech lesson right here, on a PC, you have your hard drive that has your platters, and on those platters you can record X's and O's in a magnetic X and O, and then the reader will run over the, as it turns and read the ones and zeros. And each one of the files that you save onto the platters will be put in a certain location, right? And there will be a location, like an address, for your computer to go and refer to if you want to open that file again. So say I got a picture of Brian's mug, right? And and I save it, and it's on the platter in X's and O's, or ones and zeros, and it has an address on it. And then maybe later on I open up that file and then I click on the picture to open it. It's going to use the address to find it on the platter. Now here's where it gets complicated. If there's not enough room on a platter to leave the file continuously, it will leave it in different areas where it can fit. Each different spot will be a different address. All those addresses combined will be on the file. So when you open it, it may retrieve the information from a bunch of different places.
So that's why if I'm opening a picture sometimes, or I'm opening something in Microsoft, and it's thinking and thinking, I'm like, dude, what do you hear it?
Yeah, you hear it clicking.
It's grinding and grinding.
Yeah. What you're hearing is the pickup on the platters going to each one of those different locations, and when it goes, it ends up sounding like, really silently, but
it sounds like
very quiet.
Your brakes when they're metal to metal.
And it's not that bad, but anyway. But here's the thing you need to know. This is why I'm telling you this story. When you delete a file, this is super critical for you to understand. You're not changing the X's and the O's that make the file. All you're doing is telling the computer to forget the address. So when I delete the file of Brian's mug,
right,
it's just forgetting the address. That's all it's doing. The entire file with his entire picture will still be there. And also, if I start to save other files, the file may partially erase the picture of Brian.
Because the new file that you save may need that space.
Yeah, and the computer will ignore the fact that his picture is there and possibly write over it. However, there's a chance that any part of that picture of Brian may not be overwritten for a long time, if ever. And so let's say I take that computer and throw it into the trash. It goes to the landfill, and some forensic scientist uncovers it, brings it back to the lab, and I'll say, Brian, don't worry. I erased that picture of you. I know you looked really bad.
Yeah.
You looked really bad in that picture.
Oh, yeah.
But I got rid of it. That forensic scientist, it will not matter to him that the address for his picture's gone. All the ones and zeros are still in there somewhere. He's just going to go through all the platters, read all the ones and zeros, figure out what they all mean, and then boom, there's a picture of Brian, even though I deleted it.
That's funny. We've come up and we're talking about this because I'll be darn it. That happened this week.
Uh-oh.
Hillary Clinton. 5 top secret documents were found on.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Top secret,
More stuff found on Hillary Clinton this week. I don't remember the exact article.
How is she not in jail?
That's a good question.
Rudy
Giuliani showed up, made his appearance multiple times on Sean Hannity's show.
Okay.
And here's one clip. It's 3 minutes long, but I think we only need to listen to the first half of it. Here's a clip of Sean Hannity and Rudy Giuliani, and Giuliani drops a bombshell on Sean Hannity about who's who and what's going on.
I think that we are running into a real big problem for them. If they try to drag this thing much into September, you've got a very...
And he's talking about, he's talking about the Russian collusion, Russia, and that's what John Brennan is peddling to the media.
Clear violation of the Justice Department policy not to interfere with elections. Comey was just excoriated by Horowitz. It'll just be another list of their irregularities, their unethical performance, their unwillingness to follow sensible rules. They could have done this. We could have concluded this interview thing 2 months ago and decided yes or no on it. And their report could be done by now. It looks like they're slowing down. They're running out the clock.
The media would look at the 2005 tax case that has nothing to do with Russia, nothing to do with the campaign, nothing to do with the president.
He's talking about Paul Manafort's trial.
Manafort tax case from 2005 is the trial of the century. Okay, that case. Well, that's really how they're portraying it. But more seriously, when we talk about Strzok and Comey and McCabe and Page and all these other people in the FBI and the DOJ at the highest levels, do you see crimes?
Oh, absolutely. I just told you one. The perjury on the affidavit. I was telling you about Hillary crimes a year before Comey outlined them all. I'm pretty good at picking out crimes.
How did she get off scot-free in all this?
She got off because it was a fixed investigation, a totally phonny fixed investigation.
Can she still be indicted?
Run by Peter Strzok, who then turns around. The dossier is obtained on the day that they dropped the case against Trump. Against Hillary. So that case gets dropped, and they have to even up the score.
The next day.
Okay, real quick, what he's talking about is he's saying that the day that Peter Strzok told Comey to drop the case, and Comey came out and did his absolute indictment, what was it, like a 10-minute diatribe about indicting.
I listened to it live, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, she's going to be charged. I mean, this is the laundry list of things that you would definitely be facing criminal action for. And then when he said, and that's why we're not going to charge her, I was just like, what did I just hear?
And Rush talked everybody off the ledge and said, guys, come on. Did you really think? And I'm like, okay, whatever. But here's what Rudy Giuliani is talking about right now. As soon as that was over with Comey, the very next day, like the case was still warm from the printer printing off the talking points to Comey. The papers are still warm, and Peter Strzok then goes to Mueller, and he keeps his clearances, he keeps his intel, he keeps everything, and goes to Mueller and gets on Mueller's team ASAP right away. Yeah, we got problems here, folks.
Go after Trump the next day. Now, the reality is, I'm going to tell you, and we don't have the time to go into it, we can do it later. I'm going to tell you who orchestrated the quarterback for all this.
The quarterback for all of the Russian collusion.
It isn't just Strzok. He's a bit of a puppet. Then there's Mueller. He's a puppet. People working for him some of them are really...
I have a funny feel you're about to drop a bomb on me. Go ahead.
The guy running it is Brennan. And he should be in front of a grand jury.
Is Brennan.
Former
CIA director.
Brennan took an affidavit, a dossier, that unless he's the biggest idiot intelligence agent that ever existed, although he never really did much intelligence work, it's false. You can look at it and laugh at it. He peddled it to Harry Reid. That led to the request for the investigation. So he takes a false affidavit, a false dossier. He gets the senators involved, and a couple of Republican senators.
John McCain.
And they demand an investigation, totally phony investigation.
So this is where we've come to, folks. John Brennan. In the Wizard of Oz at the very end, don't look at the guy behind the curtain. Just he's nothing. And the curtain's being pulled back, and John Brennan. And who is John Brennan's boss? Barack.
Oh, yeah.
Hussein. Obama.
At this point or in the future?
No, I mean, yes.
Yes to both?
Yes.
But if Barack Obama was his boss, then Trump is his boss now.
No. Well, I mean, he doesn't work for the government, though.
I mean,
he's not in the government.
Okay.
When he was director of CIA, Barack Obama was his boss.
Right.
Now that he's out of the CIA, I cannot say that Barack Obama is still not his boss.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Okay, so we got John Brennan, who peddled the fake Russian PB Gate dossier, peddled that to Dingy Reed, Harry Reid, and also to John McCain, orchestrated the whole thing, how we're going to get this started, how we're going to get this running. We got Mueller involved. We got Comey involved, and we got this guy that works for the DOJ. So the CIA gets fake information, peddles it, gets it to the FBI, and the FBI now has fake information. Also, Bruce Orr, his wife, Nellie Orr, obtained a copy of the fake dossier, Russian PB dossier gate, and Bruce Orr gave it to the FBI and said, this is what we got to go with. John McCain was handed a document. It was handed a copy of the Russian PB dossier gate. And he took it to James Comey and said, you gotta see this stuff.
And the strange thing is sometime around January 10th of 2017, so right before the inauguration.
10 days before.
Was when BuzzFeed published the dossier. And then CNN linked to BuzzFeed, and then that was and shortly before that was when Comey mentioned to Trump about it so that it could be talked about.
Right.
So it could be newsworthy. It could only be newsworthy if Comey actually had a meeting with him about it and asked him whether or not it was true or whatnot. But as soon as the dossier came out in BuzzFeed, there's a tweet, and I've retweeted it several times over the months since this has all happened, where some journalist for some media outlet said, raise your hand if you were also shopped this.
Oh, right. I remember
Yes.
that. And all the news media heads were like, yeah, they came by us with this.
Every single media. And the reason nobody printed it until BuzzFeed did was because they all knew it was fake. They all knew it was fake.
That was our show, Russia, Russia, Russia.
Yeah.
That was the show we did, 3-hour show we did, was about exposing this fake Russia gate.
No, the dossier came out on the January 10th of 2017. Our show
was out before that.
Was December 11th of 2016.
Right.
We were really early on this.
Well, then when BuzzFeed published that, you took that and we talked about it. We read through it. And, we went through the whole article and everything.
It was an amazing revelation to find out that everybody in the media already knew about the dossier before BuzzFeed. It wasn't like BuzzFeed published it and everybody's like, oh, this is a groundbreaking. Everybody's like, this is literally collectively. They're like
the palm to the face.
They're all like, oh gosh, BuzzFeed stepped on the landmine. That's literally how they took it, because they knew that it was unverifiable, and it was something like that happened this week in a totally unrelated story I won't get into, but just trust me, there's a lot of media people out there who try to portray themselves as journalists when really they're just pundits. I'm going to be honest with you, the amount of journalism we do is very minimal. We do a lot of punditry, we do commentary, and I think that what makes Smith Radio so good is that we have great takes on the news.
And we got comedy. Jokes, folks.
We do jokes and some emotional outbursts and that kind of stuff, which is always fun.
Little song and dance.
But we're going to report to you. And gosh, I just got a flashback. It's like deja vu saying this right now. But we're going to tell you what is being reported, and we're going to be honest about whether or not we think it's true. And if we think it's not true, we're going to explain why we think it's not true.
And we'll dig in. We'll find facts and expose it and show you why it's not true.
Yeah, and years later after starting this, we have the kind of network where we can dig deep. We can be like, hey, what did you hear about this? Like a big part of the Q thing was I just had a really strong hunch that it was fake. And then when I asked an intel officer what he thought about it, he was like, oh yeah, it's totally crap posting.
Okay, whether it's fake or not, I don't know, and I don't want to make anybody upset. Apparently, there's a lot of
there's a lot of Q fans out there, but it's going the other way, so we're okay.
Good.
Oh, Brian's sweating over here.
There's a guy that follows us, and I follow
okay.
him. He blasted Jack.
Well, there's a lot of people.
And I walked away from it. I didn't even get involved in it.
All right, well, the point is, here's the point. It's not whether or not Q is real or not. It's what can you report that is 100% verifiable. And here's even a bigger kicker. A real journalist may know what the truth is. They may know what the facts are, like totally 100% know what it is. But they won't report it if they can't verify it to their viewers, because what happens when the viewers start saying, you're a liar?
Yeah, you lost credibility. I mean, well, look at CNN.
Even if it's totally true, it could be something. You could report something that you know will never be falsified, will never be debunked, because you know it's true, but the person that has the smoking gun just chickened out and said, you know what, I can't give you this information for X, Y, and Z reason, but you know what the truth is, just report it. It's true, I'm telling you. A real journalist will be like, oh, I'm going to have to report this a totally different way now. They're going to have to come out and say, my source is strong, it's credible, it's good, but the smoking gun is just not there yet. I could be getting trolled, that that kind of stuff. So that's really the difference between a totally real bona fide journalist and somebody who's really just a pundit, really.
Right.
And so anyway.
So long-awaited Peter Strzok. You remember the demon man. There were a lot of great memes of Peter Strzok after his testifying to Congress. It was out of control. Dude was crazed, like he did the Hillary wiggle. You remember the Hillary?
You talking about Strzok?
Yeah, Strzok.
Oh, he's a weirdo.
A creep.
He had the inability to control his schoolgirl giddiness.
Yes.
When it's like being told that the boy that you have a crush on also has a crush on you. This is literally what he did. He did the fish trying to get away from the fisherman.
Yeah, that's exactly.
He maybe even brought his hands in. I don't know. Did he go like this?
Yes.
I can't control my excitement.
Yeah, the fish. That was a good one. The fish.
It's so embarrassing to see the highest level deep state guy behaving like that. It makes you realize that these people are much less human beings than you could ever. You can't put them up on a pedestal. These people have no self-control whatsoever. He had no ability to stop himself from performing a coup d'etat on a elected president because it wasn't the guy that he wanted, and he had the power to possibly pull it off. I mean, guys, it took a lot of work and a lot of people, a lot of manpower, a lot of people in high places, a lot of people that were going to stop at nothing to get to the truth, to stop this coup. Because this guy, Peter Strzok, had this much power to do it, and it's just scary to think that these people that we put up so up on a pedestal, it's me too. I think of the guy at the very top of the deep state, the very top, as being this rock solid person, kind of like the way Mueller comes off, like he's chiseled out of a oak tree. He's you can't shake him. And then you look at Peter Strzok, and he can't even control himself in his seat. It's just so weird. You got the 2-minute version. Oh,
I don't know if
you could look at the. Oh God!
I'll just show you the picture. This is how creepy this dude is. This guy is just so. I mean, you talk about a creepazoid. I mean, that's pictures. A full-blown creepo.
Oh my God! He reminds me of the guy. He actually looks a lot like the guy from I almost forget the name of the American Beauty.
Oh yes,
he kind of actually looks like the guy from American Beauty. The guy that was that movie was definitely in the top 10 most liberal movies of all time. Where the guy that played the character who looks like Peter Strzok, or the other way around, Peter Strzok actually looks like him, was the guy that ended up killing the Kevin Spacey.
Right.
For because he believed that he might be gay. Right. And he was such a homophobe. And it turns out the reason he was such a homophobe was because he was a super, super hard right-wing evangelical Christian. He every night he was watching black and white Ronald Reagan movies. Do you remember this movie?
Oh, yeah. I do. It's coming back to me now. Yeah. My goodness.
He made his wife, and by the way, she was pretty much like a zombie slave to him.
Right.
And he would make his wife and his son sit there at the little couch in front of the old wooden TV console watching Ronald Reagan movies from the 50s.
Wow.
And he was a raging right-wing conservative guy who ends up killing Kevin Spacey. Spoiler alert for those of you that haven't seen the movie. Because he accidentally believed Kevin Spacey was gay when he wasn't. Turns out Kevin Spacey was just a pedophile going after his daughter's friend.
Right.
And in the process thought that he was moving in on his son, the reason he mistakenly thought that was because his son was trying to hide the fact that he was dealing marijuana to Kevin Spacey.
Right. Not that he was gay.
Right. He wasn't gay. He was and so they were using code to try to hide all this from the dad, and the dad was like, I know my son's gay, and I know he's gay with my neighbor, Kevin Spacey. I can't take this anymore. And he ends up killing Kevin Spacey. So
okay, on a side. Oh, yeah, that's Peter Strzok. Yeah.
Peter
withdraw it. I do not withdraw it. He is not a member of Congress. It's not a violation of the rule. And just as you have been expressing bias through your members about what a hero
there is not a single person on this committee who has ever characterized a witness
gentleman from Rhode Island.
Gentlemen, it's my time.
That's a disgrace.
Gentleman from Rhode Island will suspend.
No, the disgrace
Mr.
is what this man has done.
The gentleman from Texas will suspend for a moment.
There is the disgrace. And it won't be recaptured anytime soon because of the damage you've done to the justice system. And I've talked to FBI agents around the country. You've embarrassed them. You've embarrassed yourself. And I can't help but wonder when I see you looking there with a little smirk, how many times did you look so innocent into your wife's eye and lie to her about Lisa?
There's a woman in the background. I just saw it for the first time. There's a woman sitting behind Peter Strzok. Here we go. Look at her eyes. Look at her. Look at her.
That's actually kind of funny.
She has seen a ghost. She is.
Like Louis Gohmert's losing it. But actually, he was on point.
About Lisa.
Mr. Chairman, this is outrageous.
Credibility of a witness
Shame
is always
on
an issue.
Mr. Chairman, please.
Have you Mr. Chairman, this is
Mr. Chairman.
But it doesn't have the part where he did the girly squirm.
Right. Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman. Okay, so we're into Peter Strzok now. All right, we're into Peter Strzok. And this week, Peter Strzok was fired. We were all shocked. Everybody was shocked. All the talking pundits, whether it be Sean Hannity or just anybody around the horn that's real honest and being honest with what's going on. Everybody was shocked that this guy still had a job. I know.
What do you remember what I tweeted about it? I said, file this under news that you thought was old.
Oh, right.
Remember that? Right. I was like, he was fired. What is this, old news? What is this? Is this Throwback Thursday or something?
What was that? There was a guy that did these conspiracy theories that I worked with one time. He's really crazy about this. He's like, hey, man, do you know what that logo for Ford is? I'm like, yeah. He's like, describe it. And so I did. He's like, now look it up on the Google.
Okay.
It's not what you think it is. There's alternate paradigm, the alternate universes that are colliding right now. And so this is already played out, and we're colliding with it again. It's already.
Oh, it's like deja vu when it never. It's a glitch in the Matrix. That's what it is.
Right. That's exactly what it is.
Total glitch in the Matrix.
So former FBI agents reveal the real reason why FBI hack Peter Strzok was fired. This by Breitbart News. FBI hack Peter Strzok creates Twitter account, by the way, this week. He's now on Twitter, and he started a GoFundMe page, and he started trashing Trump. His GoFundMe page, I have not checked it in a minute, his GoFundMe page is almost up to $500,000.
That's just sick. Whoever, and I get it, somebody like a Soros and people like him could donate
if they do
$150,000.
Think about it. If they do it and he gives the money back, or this is just for show, this is all just for show, this show is to say he's got support when he does it.
Well, certainly the people that donated to him support him.
If they're real people.
Well, it was real money.
Yeah, I mean, and Clinton, Soros, all of them. There's billionaires
all
around the world.
And by the way, I learned from listening to Glenn Beck this week that it can be faked on it was a GoFundMe. Because Glenn decided, as a joke in response to the Peter Strzok thing, to start his own GoFundMe for being a patriot and all this kind of stuff.
Now that you bring that up, I saw that. Yeah. When we had our GoFundMe page, it let me become somebody else and donate money that I didn't give.
So they made a big joke out of the Peter Strzok thing by starting their own GoFundMe. And during the show, as they're telling people to donate to us, and they made a big joke about it, I think they were saying that they were going to donate it, but they didn't. The joke was that they're not going to donate it to whatever cause they were.
Right.
But they were being sarcastic.
Right.
Because they were making fun of the fact that Peter Strzok was getting money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, because he's in the news for being a horrible, horrible American. One of the worst ever, right up there with Benedict Arnold.
Oh, yeah,
easily.
Absolutely.
If you listed like the top 100 worst Americans who ever lived, he's got to be in the top 10 easily. Got to be. And here we have Americans, and maybe not, maybe they're foreigners, but the point is
anybody in the world on the internet can donate.
Right. And so the joke is that Glenn was basically trying to make it all about himself, that please donate because I am such a great person and I deserve this money and I'm going to use it to disseminate to local vendors and service providers. You know what that means, don't you? He's going to spend it on himself. When you disperse it to local vendors and service providers, that means you're going out and shopping. That's what that is. Right. So anyway, he made a big joke about it, and he was getting donations like $5, couple bucks, whatever, while the show was going on, and he was reading the donors. And he was reading George Soros, Barack Obama, Karl Marx, all of the above. So it turns out you can mask your real identity on GoFundMe. So if Soros did donate $100,000, whatever, he could certainly do it under a different name.
Right.
So anyway.
FBI Director David Bowdich ordered the firing of Peter Strzok after the Office of Professional Responsibility recommended Strzok to only be suspended and demoted. New York Times reported that Peter Strzok was also accused of sending highly sensitive search warrant to his personal email account. Former FBI agents who spoke to Sara Carter, she's been blowing this wide open, she's been doing a great job, said Strzok was really fired for his involvement in defrauding the FISA with the Carter Page FISA warrants.
Right. That was obvious.
And for making what appeared to be false statements during his congressional hearing.
Well, you definitely go to jail for that. I mean, isn't that why Flynn was facing jail time?
Yeah, they claim that Flynn lied to FBI, but
right. We know he
did, and James Comey said he did not. So
the FBI agents that interviewed him, their initial assessment was that he did not lie
until they caught word that they had to nail him to get Trump.
That proves to me that it does not matter what you say to the deep state. If they say you lied, that's all the evidence they need. That they say, wait, well, what's your evidence? I'm telling you, he lied. That's my evidence.
Well, at least a cop saw me speeding, and that's why I got the ticket.
I saw him speeding.
Well, but you got proof of that? Just take my word for it.
Well, the gun says 55.
Yeah.
But who knows what that was on? I'm just telling you
what I saw.
I saw him speeding.
Oh, man.
That's what I'm saying. And so that's and you know, cops can do that. You'd have to go to court and you can plea not guilty and then argue it out with the cop. Like, Are you sure about that 5 minutes?
Right.
Perhaps the laws of physics cease to exist on your stove.
Because, the water got into his grit faster than anywhere in the world.
Right. On your stove than anywhere else in the world. Right.
So newly released Carter Page FISA documents revealed Peter Strzok provided information which was used to obtain a FISA warrant on Carter Page, directly contradicting his sworn claims to GOP lawmakers during Peter Strzok's closed-door testimony to GOP lawmakers mid-July. He swore he was not involved in the drafting of the Carter Page FISA warrant, nor did he provide any evidence or information to the FISA court.
Okay, so what I just said a second ago, that the deep state, all they have to do is say you lie.
Right.
This is, when you read it, your brain is really good at logic. I think human beings are very good at that. Your brain can make the determination that there was a lie here.
Right.
Because of the facts at hand. The actual events that unfolded show that Peter Strzok lied.
Right.
So the idea that we need additional, or that we need the FBI to just say that you lied, does not apply here. This is actually something where he's going to have to explain the discrepancy in order to come out as innocent here. He has to come up with an explanation as to why two facts contradict each other without him lying.
Lucy, you got some explaining to do.
Yes.
So, and lastly, Sara Carter also noted in her article that the head of the Office of Professional Responsibility, remember, that was the person that said, no, just put him on probation and demote him, just kind of put it to the side, is run by a woman. Okay, that's cool. Her name, Candace Will. Okay, whatever. She was appointed to run that office in 2004 by then FBI Director Robert Mueller. So happens that's why the OPR, that office, recommended Peter Strzok only be suspended and demoted rather than fired. Robert Mueller is pulling strings in the back end of the FBI to keep his boys on board.
Well, it's necessary. I mean, you need a whole team of corruption to be able to benefit from the corruption. Like, the whole idea of being corrupt is that, I scratch your back, you scratch my back. It's hard to scratch nobody's back and to get nobody to scratch your back. Right?
Yeah, that guy sucks.
Yeah, so you need back scratchers.
Lots of.
Yeah, lots and lots of back scratchers and in all the different departments, so that way you can go to whatever office and get your back scratched.
Okay, so now we're getting to FBI. Now we're getting to this guy named Bruce Orr, who you absolutely need to know this guy. Bruce Orr works for the Department of Justice. Official emails this week that came out, official emails, text messages, documents came out this week that show the dossier author, Christopher Steele, GCHQ, that's the CIA in Britain, former GCHQ, was in fear that Comey's firing would expose the entire operation.
Interesting.
FBI incorrectly told FISA court 4 times that Steele was not the source of the reported used to justify Carter Page surveillance. They told the FISA court 4 times it was not Christopher Steele. We know for a fact it was Christopher Steele. And now these Bruce Orr documents, Bruce Orr, after Trump was elected, Bruce Orr was in contact with Glenn Simpson and Christopher Steele 70 plus times, emailing him, hey, do we have any new information? Man, what's going on? I know they're going to fire Comey. What's going to happen?
They're freaking out because Comey was their firewall.
Yes. And so Donald Trump tweeted out, very concerned about Comey's firing, afraid they will be exposed, said Bruce Orr. DOJ emails and notes show Bruce Orr's connection to phony and discredited Trump dossier, a creep thinking he would get caught in a dishonest act, rigged witch hunt.
Yeah, we had a guy, Navy seaman, who was arrested for taking pictures of the inside of a submarine.
Yeah, to send him to his kids, show his kids what he did.
And I don't know if it was kids or family members, whatever it was.
I think he only had one kid.
Tweeted, Facebook.
Yes.
I don't know. But he did do it. And he had subsequently been pardoned by Donald Trump, which I actually don't agree with because
I do agree with.
My thing is that everybody knows you don't take pictures of the inside of a submarine.
No, but what he took pictures of,
dope.
Well, the guy, overzealous prosecutor, a military prosecutor, overzealous, and what he took pictures of was not anything that would have been top secret.
Well, I guess
understand
I'd have
what you're
to
saying.
talk to a Navy seaman and ask him, is there exceptions to taking pictures inside of a submarine? Like, for instance, if it's a picture of your cot, is that allowed? Is that okay? And if somebody were to say, yeah, I mean, if it doesn't have anything
What if it's
classified.
a picture of the dashboard?
I would assume that would be the first thing that would be not allowed.
Probably.
And when I was in the military,
was he taking pictures of the TCTO, the hand manuals, taking the pictures? And
he was doing like they do in 007.
Yes.
He's got the miniature camera, the real little one, and he's like
because cell phones don't work.
Oh, he's got the microfiche.
The microfiche.
But my thing is I need to get more information before I make a ruling, but it's been an understanding of mine that you just don't take pictures. Now, I'll see what you're saying because I knew not to take pictures inside the cockpit, but they told us specifically why, and that is that you don't want the controls to be laid out for a terrorist or whatever to be able to utilize that, or an enemy of some sort to utilize that against us, like by stealing it or whatever, right? So when I was in the cockpit, we were towing the aircraft to go get it washed, actually. I had my camera, my video camera. It wasn't a still shot.
This is a camcorder.
Yeah, camcorder. Yeah, the old camcorder. It was tiny. It was like this big. It was like two bricks.
2 bricks. Yeah.
Maybe one. It was pretty small.
So small.
Like a brick and a half, I would say. So anyway, so I had this thing, and I recorded myself, and I made it look like I was flying the aircraft because all you saw was me, the canopy, and the sky. And then I turned it to the side after a while. Like at first I was kind of looking around like I was flying. And then I turned it so that you'd see we were just being towed.
Yeah.
But my point is I made great efforts. I'm going to be honest with you. At that time that I was recording, I kind of knew that I would be yelled at for recording in the cockpit at all. But I also went to great lengths to avoid showing any controls whatsoever, because if, let's say, an intel guy from our squadron came out and said, "Hey, Kerry, I saw you had a camcorder in the cockpit. I'm going to need the
and they need that.
I'm going to need that."
Yeah.
And if I had to hand it over, and I did, he would then watch it and see that I never once showed a single control in that entire cockpit the entire time I was in there.
So my whole point is.
So the point is that I did probably, break
but this prosecutor, this military prosecutor, overzealous, ruined the guy's career, threw him in the penitentiary, threw him in Leavenworth, wherever he was at, threw him in prison where he was locked up, away from his wife and children, all for taking a couple of pictures that could have been looked at and decided, hey, there's no classified material here. Hold on, Kerry. You will be removed from the military. You're out of the military.
Okay.
No jail time. I mean, what are we talking about here?
I agree with that, and I would say maybe not even an honorable discharge. I don't know. I mean, he's got to know. You've got to know these things. Here's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go to your every single squadron or whatever they call it in the Navy has an intel office. You go to the intel office and you say, "I really want to take a picture of me with the submarine for my family. Can you tell me if at all, if it's possible, there's somewhere in that submarine that I could do it where it's not going to divulge any information that's bad, and you can oversee the whole thing, snap a picture, and then I can give it to my family." And I actually did that myself. my friend, the same one that snuck me into the
No
flight simulator.
Yeah, no names.
I'm friends with him on Facebook. So.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, he wanted to take a picture like a glamour shots of me in the cockpit from outside the cockpit, as if I'm talking full-blown sunset in the background, beautiful sunset and everything. And I knew that they were going to look at us funny, being on the flight line essentially at night.
Right.
Taking pictures with the flash. You know, it's because with the sunset in the background, you got to have a flash. So I was like, I'm definitely going to S2, 100%. So we go to S2, and I told him, hey, we're just going to take some pictures from the outside of us sitting in the cockpit. And they were like, well, why don't you just do it during the day? And we want the sunset in the background, make it cool. And they were like, all right. So we went out there, and there were a couple of night crew people that were looking at us like, what the heck is Carrie doing? What the heck? And we took the pictures, and Intel was totally cool with it. Had somebody come out and question us? In fact, I wonder if somebody did, but we were like, hey, we got permission from S2.
We're greenlit.
Got permission from S2, and then that was it. That's the way you're supposed to do it, people.
Okay. So anyway. Fox and Friends, frantic text from Christopher Steele to Bruce Orr revealed this week. This is on Fox and Friends.
Among security clearances now under review, apparently, is demoted DOJ official Bruce Orr, as a shocking report uncovers more of his texts with the author of that anti-Trump dossier, Christopher Steele. In one, Steele seems concerned about Comey's upcoming testimony on Capitol Hill, writing, "Hi, just wondering if you had any news. Obviously, we're a bit apprehensive given scheduled appearance at Congress on Monday, hoping that important firewalls will hold."
Oh, my gosh.
Okay. This is when...
That's not good.
This is when that they were... Fusion GPS was going to go testify to Congress.
Mm-hmm. Many thanks. Orr replied, sorry, no new news. I believe my earlier information is still accurate. I will let you know immediately if there is any change. Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett is the author of The Russian Hoax. It's the #1 book in America for the third week running, and he joins us live right now. Good morning to you.
Good to see you, Steve.
Okay, so what are these important firewalls that Mr. Steele is worried might be publicized?
Well, here's 60 pages of Steele's communications with Bruce Orr at the Department of Justice, and he is frantic that he is going to get exposed. In one text message...
They wanted it to be a secret.
Oh, right, because here's what Chris Steele did. He created a phony document, false intelligence. He hated Trump. He's on record saying he'd do anything to stop Trump. So what he did was he created this false intelligence document, peddles it to James Comey and his Confederates and John Brennan. And he's doing a lot of it through Bruce Orr, the guy there in the middle of the screen. And so, but he realizes that he's going to get busted. He's going to get exposed. So one text message is, Senator Grassley has a letter, and he's going to implicate him, Christopher Steele. Another one, he writes to Bruce Orr, Comey's about to testify, and he's worried he'll be exposed.
Because then it would expose the fact that the Democrats funded it and Hillary was involved, and that would have happened almost 2 years earlier than right now. Talking about the dossier, though, and you just mentioned Mr. Brennan. Brennan got his security clearance yanked yesterday. Yeah. And one of the reasons, it sounds like the president told the Wall Street Journal that he holds him responsible for launching the whole Trump-Russia collusion narrative.
Right. Chapter 6 is how John Brennan, as CIA director, was the instigator of the Russia hoax. He did more than anyone damage in propagating false intelligence in the dossier. He's proven he cannot be trusted with national security secrets. He's leaked before, and he would be prone to use current intelligence to damage Trump and jeopardize national security. He should be nowhere near CIA headquarters. In fact, he ought to be banished from Washington, D.C.
So the president was right to pull the security clearance on him?
Oh, absolutely. You know, you're supposed to be nonpartisan, apolitical as CIA director. Brennan never was. He was an acolyte and sycophant of Hillary Clinton. And he was using this false intelligence to damage Trump before the campaign, ended, and to help Hillary Clinton because he wanted her to be president.
Right, and nobody would ever know because Hillary Clinton was supposed to win, but then Donald Trump, as it turns out, won, and now we are starting to know more and more.
Well, as you pointed out at the top of the hour, it was very devious maneuver by Brennan. He goes to Harry Reid on Capitol Hill, and together they come up with this plot. If you write a letter to Comey, we can leak it to the media alleging Trump-Russian collusion. Boom. And that's exactly what they did.
Check it out. It is.
Wow, it sounds so conspiratorial, but it's what they did. I mean, think about it. There's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there. Some of them take it very seriously. Some people live it. Some people really, truly believe that their conspiracies are true or somebody else's conspiracy is true. Imagine doing a reverse projection, all right? If you were in a seat of power that would enable you to actually do a conspiracy theory, or not a theory, but a conspiracy.
Oh, yeah, conspire.
Conspire to perform whatever crazy idea, something that a conspiracy theorist would be like, folks, I'm telling you, this is what's happening. and of course you hear it and you're just like, wow, that's kind of off the wall. But if you're in the position to actually do that, if it meant saving your butt and you're a bad person in general.
Right.
You're doing it. And this is what you're seeing. You're seeing the Russian hoax narrative from his book, which is pretty much everything laid out, exposing people who would generally, if being not very not in a high place, but just some average Joe would be considered a conspiracy theorist. But somebody at the highest levels of the deep state have to do what they got to do to survive, and they do this. They're creating the conspiracy theory. It's like a reverse projection thing. So.
Yes, I agree 100%. Kimberly Strassel has been all over this as well. Jim Jordan was interviewed and talked about this well. I'll play that in just a second. But Bruce Ohr has a wife. Her name is Nellie Ohr. Nellie Ohr. Massive efforts right now are underway to hide Nellie Ohr, who looks like
the librarian from Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters. That went totally viral. I honestly thought that, number one, I wasn't going to be the first one to point that out. And number two, that it's so obvious that when I tweeted it out, it would just be like, yeah, we all thought that.
Well, but here's the thing.
But it went totally viral.
You do this thing, and we kind of do it together, but you do it more than I do. You're real good at it. I try and do it, but you're really good at it.
Sometimes you don't know you're really good at something until you realize that everybody else just isn't really that good at it. That's when you're like, oh, okay, I got a knack for that.
So Carrie's got this knack for tagging people with famous names.
Yeah, like I say, they look like that person. Like the Peter Strzok thing. He looks his face actually physically looks like the guy that kills Kevin Spacey in American Beauty. I think he looks an awful lot like that guy. Although he kind of presented himself as Colonel Gaddafi, I guess. What's that? Not Colonel Gaddafi. Colonel whatever his name is from A Few Good Men. That's how he presented himself at the congressional hearing, but he actually looks like the guy from American Beauty. But apparently, Brian points out that I have the knack for you could just put in American Beauty and it'll probably oh, there we go. Yeah, no, yep, right there. What does he have a name? Whatever his name is.
Oh, he tries.
Yeah, he tried to kiss him.
Kiss him
because he thought. The reason he killed him is because he thought he was gay and he's super homophobic and he thought that he was coming. Oh, there you go. Just showed that picture.
Oh, man.
You should do a side-by-side with Peter Strzok there.
Oh, man.
Now, don't worry about it. We'll just show it.
Okay.
So this is the guy that I thought looks like Peter Strzok, or Strzok looks like Peter Strzok looks like him.
Right.
So, anyway.
With that being said, so...
Chris Cooper. Sorry, Chris Cooper. I had to look at it for a second.
And they're working so back to Nellie Ohr. They're working really, really hard to hide Nellie Ohr and who she is and what she's behind. Nellie Ohr is Bruce Ohr's wife. Nellie Ohr looks like the old lady from
Alice Drummond is her real name.
Alice Drummond.
And she passed away almost 10 years ago. Actually, 11 years ago.
God rest her soul.
But she, the way she She looks dead on. I mean, it's not even close.
Other than maybe a pair of glasses.
This is how much she looks like her. Now, Brian just pointed out that I have this knack for figuring out what you look like. Like, what famous person do you look like? If there's one person that can nail that, it would probably be me. When I looked up Nellie Orr and then clicked on images or articles or whatever, when they showed her picture, I truly thought I had the wrong thing. I thought that somehow somebody had linked to the Ghostbusters movie or something. I mean, that she looks so much like her that I really, truly thought it was her. There's a difference between looking like somebody and having trouble realizing it's not actually that person.
Right.
So that's why I was super convinced that somebody else was going to come up with that.
How long ago did you post that up?
It was the day that Nellie Orr was trending. It was
okay.
Whichever day that was. Oh, you can go into scroll to the top and click on media. Oh, you already did.
I am in media. It's not even there.
Yeah, you have to scroll a little bit.
Dude, they got rid of it.
No, it's on there somewhere. You're getting close. Keep going. There we go.
Okay. This has got to be seen by everybody. I'm for real.
I mean, it's pretty.
There you go.
Pretty obvious there that she looks
identical. Dead ringer with the same hairdo and everything.
Everything. Oh, well, she didn't have glasses on in Ghostbusters, but
you know she wears glasses.
The lips, the mouth, the eyes, the chin, and just the way that her she's slightly wrinkled, and just every shape of her is identical. I mean, they're doppelganger.
All right. Nellie, let me get Nellie Orr out. Let's go back to Nellie Orr. Massive efforts to hide Nellie Orr and her involvement in the Spygate. She may be linked between former CIA Brennan and his boss, Barack Hussein Obama. Nellie Orr, again, is Bruce Orr's wife. Court filings confirms Fusion GPS hired DOJ official CIA wife to dig up dirt on Trump. Glenn Simpson, co-founder of Fusion GPS, filed signed declaration in a D.C. court this week affirming that Nellie Orr, ex-CIA corrupt communist sympathizer who spoke fluent Russian, and she was an amateur ham radio license. She's the wife of demoted DOJ Bruce Orr, was contracted by Fusion.
You blew over that a little quickly.
I'm going to get back to it.
She had ham radio license in order to evade NSA.
I was going to come back to that. I was going to come back to that. I didn't want to tell him. Okay, so do you know what a ham radio is?
Yeah, because my neighbor from a long time ago was a huge enthusiast, and he would constantly talk to me about it, and he even had the 300-foot tall.
Yes.
Like, you have to.
Yes.
I don't know how much they cost, but they're so tall that you have to tether it down with those giant cables.
Right, like you're erecting a tower.
It is. Yeah. It's pretty much a tower.
So when I was a kid, I was in junior high, and I guess my parents were trying to figure out what a hobby or something to keep me busy. Mm-hmm. And so a guy at church told them, hey, there's this neat thing. It's called a ham radio. I'll bring it over. I got one. I'll bring it over, and I'll set it up, and I'll show them how to use it. And after about, maybe 3 or 4 minutes, that was it. Collected dust. It is a big, giant box.
You're telling me that you could have been the host of your own radio show.
I did not.
That long ago.
I did not know at the time.
That's almost as bad as me teaching myself how to program in 1988.
Right.
That's sad. So right there. I should be in Silicon Valley oppressing conservatives as we speak.
Yeah. So if you went ahead and did that, and you were able to program, and I was able to operate a radio show on a ham radio,
you would have become very experienced. It would be a resume builder.
Yeah, and you and I could both suppress conservatives and just destroy them.
Yeah. That's right. You could be working for CNN. We could be colluding together. We could be typing text to each other like, hey, what do you want me to do on this Twitter today? I write all the algorithms.
Right.
I will write an algorithm that is just devastating.
So you can talk to people around the world on this radio box. Mm-hmm. You can talk to them and listen to them like I could talk to somebody in Russia.
Was it made out of wood or was it wood grained? Because it has to be one or the other.
That is a big giant chunk of steel. This thing was huge.
Oh, okay.
It was like from World War II. It was huge.
Was it green?
Yeah.
It was?
Yeah, it was huge.
Oh, my gosh.
So anyways, this is kind of really strange, but it is a fact. Nellie Orr obtained her amateur ham radio license in 2016.
Okay.
Some people are speculating because it's just an odd, coincidental.
Did you say 2016?
Yes.
That does sound odd.
Something's wrong with that. And a lot of you folks that are younger that are listening to the show, you're like, ham radio, is it like a big chunk of ham? Why are they called ham?
No, it's operated off of a boiler that you have to heat up by burning ham. You have to light up, the fat. There's a lot of fat content in ham. You can burn that,
Yeah, the grease off the ham.
Right.
So anyways, it is just an obscure thing. And you're like, Brian, well, why would she obtain this license? Well, the reason why she would obtain this license and learn in her old age, her twilight years, learn how to operate and be licensed so that she can have conversations with people around the world to evade NSA surveillance.
Now, you know more about ham than I do.
I love me some ham.
No, but the thing is if you're broadcasting, anybody with a receiver can listen to you.
Well, sure, but there are so many. The reason why I got so disinterested so fast is because there's like a million different channels.
I did not know that. I thought it was like 13 channels.
No.
Then you get into UHF.
Right, UHF. Oh, man.
They got 69 channels.
Right.
Something like that.
You know what? I don't know how many channels. There were so many channels. And the thing is that if you were looking for something, they absolutely could have listened to her, but they would have to find her, find out what she was doing, when she was broadcasting, when she was talking to, and who she was talking to. I mean,
and she could also just start talking. If you knew the channel and you knew when to listen in, you could hear everything she wanted to say. But somebody else listening might not know who the heck she is or what the heck she's talking about. It would take somebody in the NSA to actually even think that she was on. Now, if you drove by her house, you would see the ham radio tower.
Right. Well, maybe they got higher with technology nowadays. Kat in Arizona on the message board says Marconi, like the radio inventor. Marconi. Some people dispute that Marconi was.
Bill pointed out it's Hertz Armstrong Marconi is the acronym for ham.
Right. That's why it's ham. Yeah. Did we not say that?
No, I thought it was literally ham.
No. Thank you, Bill. Thank you for getting us back on track here. But no. So let's get through this. This is Nellie Orr. Okay. She's the wife of the demoted DOJ Bruce Orr, was contracted by Fusion GPS through the summer and the fall of 2016. So 2016, she gets her ham radio license, and she's contracted to work for Fusion GPS, Glenn Simpson, who is in contact with Christopher Steele, Hillary Clinton, and obviously the Russian dossier thing was she got it to give it to her husband. Okay. To help our company with its research and analysis. That's of Mr. Trump. That's what Fusion GPS said. She was hired to help with our analysis of Mr. Trump. Bruce Orr lost his senior level position at the DOJ as Associate Deputy Attorney General after his meeting with Simpson and British spy Christopher Steele, who assembled the Russian dossier. And Nellie Orr is that she obtained, she got that license in May 23rd, 2016, also represented the CIA's Open Source Works, a program that she was spearheaded in the CIA, this group back in 2010, expert working group to report on international organized crime, along with her husband Bruce Orr and Glenn Simpson. She worked with John Brennan. That was her boss.
So there was definitely.
So the CIA, the FBI, who are supposed to be independent of each other, are literally working with each other and one Fusion GPS organization paid for by Hillary Clinton that concocted the entire fake Russian PP dossier gate.
So this is the corruption laid out for you to see, totally exposed.
Right. Now, I know people are going to give me flack about this, but I'm just telling you what Jeff Sessions said. And I know saying the word Jeff Sessions may trigger some people.
Yeah, I mean, it's, we had Jesse Jane Duff on telling us that we need to trust that he's getting everything together behind the scenes and the hammer's coming down.
Right.
But since then, Donald Trump has tweeted out some pretty negative tweets about
he's blasting Jeff Sessions.
Yeah, but that could also be part of the plan, too. I mean, think about it. If
Good cop, bad cop?
Could be. Well, what I'm saying is that if it is important for Trump to look like he's really angry at Jeff Sessions, that's what he would do.
You know what my mom used to tell me when we were kids? She said, if anybody offers you drugs, or they want you to smoke some of that Mary Jane or marijuana, you just tell them, you blame me. I'm your mother. You just blame me. You just say, my mom would be so man, she inspects me when I get home, and you blame me all day long. So I thought, all right, okay. I never did it, but maybe that's what Trump and Sessions have worked out.
I'm shocked that actually worked, because I understand that as soon as the parent interject, well, you can't tell your buddies, especially your thug buddies that are getting into all kinds of the wacky tobacco and stuff.
Right.
They're not going to accept you blaming mommy.
No.
And you know this.
Right. Okay, but Jeff Sessions and Trump probably got this worked out. Okay. Sessions is like, hey, Trump, I tell you what, here's how I know. But I tell you what, we'll get them really ratcheted up. We'll get it ratcheted up. You just go ahead and blame me, and I'll stay quiet.
Okay.
It'd be good for the media. I mean, they are all ratcheted up.
Right, and it actually buys him some time. And
Okay, so statement from Jeff Sessions, quote, I've put a senior attorney with the resources he may need. I don't know why he said may need. The resources he may need to review cases in our office and make a recommendation to me if things aren't being pursued that need to be pursued, if cases may need more resources to complete in a proper manner, and to recommend to me if the standards for a special counsel are met, and the recommendation one should be established. So that's Jeff Sessions saying that there's a possibility of a second special counsel, which means more time and money.
Well, I think the thing is the public's interest in more special counsels has got to be done. In fact, this Mueller investigation is going to turn an entire generation off of any type of special counsel.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I was ignorant about what it means to have a special counsel opened up, but I remember right before it was, Rush Limbaugh freaking out, because I specifically remember him pointing out that this is going to end up being millions and millions and millions of dollars of free Oppo research for the Democrats.
Yeah, all the money, all the research, everything.
They're going to use everything that Mueller comes up with and use it as their Oppo research for the 2020 or 2024 re-election campaign for Trump. And they're going to just basically the whole thing. And Mueller's going to know that. So Mueller's going to go in
2020.
Yeah, you're right, 2020.
That'd be funny. Abolish the 25th Amendment, go 2024.
Okay.
You want to trigger somebody, start making up T-shirts, Trump 2024.
That might trigger them.
And you know what? If you guys, I'll tell you what, you guys in the message group and folks listening, I've been trying to come up with something, like a little gift or something to give out. Let me know if you want a Trump 2024.
I might try to avoid that, because some people might look at it as, look how dumb these guys are. They think that, look how dumb these guys are. They don't even know.
Okay. Trump 2016, small. Mm-hmm. Trump 2020, medium.
Okay.
And Trump 2024, large. It's like,
with a question mark.
Yeah. It's secession.
There's going to be purists out there that are like, you guys, you don't even respect the Constitution.
Okay.
You want a dictator.
It's just jokes, man.
I'm a Trump supporter myself, but you know what I like more than Trump? The Constitution. And I'm not going to let my love of Donald Trump get in the way of my love of the Constitution.
See, that's funny. I already got this guy triggered, and I don't even know his name.
I'm just some anonymous Trump supporter.
Okay. All right. I digress. Anyways, as we were saying.
We were saying something?
Did you lose your thought?
No, I just said what I said.
Okay.
You want me to say it again?
So anyways, all of this is coming out. Everything's falling apart. And check this out. Bill Kristol from the Weekly Standard, his son-in-law, his wife's husband, also owns a publication outfit. And Bill Kristol and his son-in-law both worked in conjunction together, having information leaked to him by the deep state and the actors and the characters involved in all this. Folks, Bill Kristol was writing in the Weekly Standard about Trump-Russian collusion using the identical talking points that Glenn Simpson, Christopher Steele, John Brennan, Hillary Clinton, James Comey, all of them were using. And just real quick, here's some of the article. It said on July 24, 2016, days before Strzok helped launch the counterintelligence probe into the Trump campaign. This is by Center for American Greatness.com. Bill Kristol from the Weekly Standard, supposed to be a conservative outlet, and we have known now Trump has exposed him as the never-Trumper hating conservative rag.
Well, we've been seeing this for a year at least. But,
right.
Yeah.
Kristol gave Strzok and the Obama Justice Department a big assist from the anti-Trump right by posting a flawed and questionably sourced article called Putin's Party.
Triggering.
Yeah, very, very triggering. At the very least, the timing of the article suggests there was careful coordination between the central players, including Hillary Clinton camp and Bill Kristol, to derail Trump's candidacy just weeks before the election. Article smeared Gateway Pundit, and the Gateway Pundit responded to that as well, which was pretty hysterical. It's pretty awesome. And just a little clip of the article that Bill Kristol wrote. It says, these indications provide sufficient grounds for Trump's links to Putin to be further investigated. Politicians who are currently supporting Trump should withdraw their unconditional support. We don't know how direct and close a financial relationship Trump and Manafort have with the Putin regime. If Trump and Manafort don't act to allay these concerns by releasing their tax returns, or in other ways, wouldn't it be advisable for a Republican member of Congress to lead an urgent investigation into whether Putin is interfering in the current American election? Trump and Manafort may be Putin's chumps. Will other Republicans sit by as the whole Republican Party becomes Putin's
When did he write
party?
this? Because you say interfering in the current American election. Was this before he was? Oh.
Yes, weeks before Trump's election.
Wow.
Weeks.
Wow. If that was really July 24th, 2016, that's actually before. I thought Russiagate.
Okay, this article was printed weeks. He just days before Strzok launched the counterintelligence probe. He wrote it in July 2024. Right, July 26 at the end of July, right after Trump won the against Ted Cruz.
Wow.
And that's when Bill Kristol went completely nuts.
Right. That's kind of strange that, like, if it's true that Bill Kristol goes from being a Cruz supporter, hoping that Cruz wins the primary and then goes on to beat Hillary in the election, and then Cruz goes away and he jumps right on to the Democrat fake news Russiagate hoax immediately, it kind of makes me wonder if the entire Cruz candidacy was just a ruse. Right now on Gateway Pundit, wow, hashtag Never Trumper Bill Kristol's Weekly Standard smears Cernovich, Jim Hoft, who's the CEO, I guess, of Gateway Pundit, and Sean Hannity in the same hit piece.
He printed this April 28th, 2017.
Okay. Well, and this isn't a surprise. We've seen tons and tons of statements, tweets, and interviews with Bill Kristol, where he's clearly a never-Trumper, like hardcore never-Trumper. And the problem with Bill Kristol, which is the same with John Walsh, is his name John or Joe Walsh?
Joe Walsh.
Joe Walsh. They have the same problem. They do the same thing. They went too far with it. I mean, you would never be able to distinguish them from any other Democrat with Trump derangement syndrome, and that's not how you do it. If you're going to be an operative for masquerading as a Republican but undermining Trump, it has to be much more subtle. So they definitely jumped the shark by going all the way with it. It's like they're being unfair with Trump in areas where you would just know that a rational thinking conservative would be on board with something.
Right.
And that's what they should have done. If you're going to be an operative as a Republican undermining Trump, you're on the easy, simple stuff that looks pro-conservative. You'll praise Trump. You'll be like, oh, man, this is the kind of president that I wanted. And then on the things where you can really nail him on, you pile on extra thick. But it's nonstop with these guys, which now we're just finding out, thanks to Jim Hoft, the Gateway Pundit, that he really is completely compromised.
Right. Absolutely. 100% compromised. Wow. And some other deep staters, you might start hearing this name come out. I mentioned it before, Stephen Halper. This by the Daily Caller, and I was just informed, I didn't know this, that the Daily Caller was founded by Tucker Carlson.
Right.
Yeah, Daily Caller. Pentagon whistleblower questioned FBI informant Stephen Halper's outrageous contracts. Pentagon whistleblower complained October 2016. In 2016, about outrageous contracts that were provided to Stephen Halper, the FBI informant who spied on the Trump campaign. So apparently, the whistleblower, Adam Lovinger, was stripped of his security clearances after complaining about Halper's contracts. Apparently, Halper, working in conjunction with Hillary Clinton and Chelsea Clinton, involved in hundreds of thousands of dollars from the government to Hillary Clinton and the Clintonites. That's how they get their money.
But you're saying that the whistleblower was silenced.
Yes, he was stripped.
By getting his clearance taken.
Yes.
See, that's a little different. That may be why they feel that Brennan is being silenced, because he's no longer able to whistleblow. But that's not for him to do.
Right. He's not a whistleblower anymore. I mean,
And here's another thing. Whistleblowing implies that you have evidence of wrongdoing by a fellow government employee that really is real, that really is bad. If you whistleblow, here's the thing about whistleblowing, and you see this with your Chelsea Manning and all these people who stole a bunch of documents and did it the wrong way. They published it on WikiLeaks and all this kind of stuff. Edward Snowden, instead of going to their congressman. But the reason they did it is because they were so worried that just bringing it up at all to anybody was going to cause them, legal trouble out the wazoo. But what's the point? The point is that when it comes to whistleblowing, you better be right. If you're going to expose secrets in order to expose, like if you have to divulge classified information in order to expose somebody breaking the law in government, you're putting your neck out there, and you better be right. In the case of Brennan, he's making it up, he's lying, and he's doing it because it's part of a larger coup d'etat.
Right.
So he's actually breaking the law in multiple ways, not just by spilling out secrets that are classified. He's also engaging in what looks like a coup.
Right. Absolutely. So Halper, Lovinger, the whistleblower, who flagged the contracts, and they're claiming that the contracts are $11.2 million in contracts. He flagged the contracts in 2016, and he told his boss. His boss's name was James Baker, the director of the Office of Net Assessment, a small Defense Department unit known as the Pentagon's think tank. Shortly after joining this National Security Council. Lovinger's security clearance was revoked on May 1st, 2017. But here's the thing. When he reported this to his boss Baker, who was an Obama appointee, and he's calling out Halper for the $11 million in contracts that were given to Hillary Clinton's and Chelsea Clinton's childhood company that were being funneled. Come on, man. What are we talking about here? I'm talking about fleecing the government.
Right. And he's trying to whistleblow, and they take his security clearance to stop that.
Right.
And that kind of stuff was probably happening constantly. That's why you got to be really careful, because something worse might happen to you. You might get arrested, because just the act of whistleblowing could definitely be construed. I think the whole whistleblowing thing is a huge gaping hole in our government. There needs to be a very orderly and obvious process for whistleblowing. I think that any congressman, if you have been elected to Congress, like we have Steve Shabbat here in the west side of Cincinnati, if I have classified information that proves that somebody in government is clearly breaking the law, either through fraud or just outright theft or whatever, I shouldn't have to keep my mouth shut, because of the opposite, telling on them, would be breaking my clearance. What it should be is I should be able to go directly to Steve Shabbat, Congressman Shabbat, and say, hey, I have a classified security clearance, and I was at work, and I noticed this guy is just totally embezzling all kinds of money and performing all kinds of fraud, but I can't say anything to anybody because in doing so it would violate my security clearance. What do I do? And there should be a form. Steve Shabbat should be like, oh, okay, fill this out. Only give it to me. Don't show it to anybody else, and I'll take care of it. And that should be the whole process. And Steve shouldn't even have to ever divulge that person's name. He should remain secret.
So Halper pitched to Papadopoulos an all-expense-paid trip to England to write a paper on energy. And he did. And he paid him. And bank records show that the money landed in Papadopoulos' account.
Okay.
Halper was spying on the Trump campaign and rigged and set up the Papadopoulos meeting, if you guys remember. Papadopoulos met with an Australian diplomat in England, at a bar one night when they was drinking some beers and kicking it back. So I'm just saying, all this is all connected. It's all connected. It's all these players, all the names, all the players. It doesn't matter if your head is swimming of all these stories. It doesn't matter, folks.
I know. I get it too. I have trouble wrapping my head around it. But just to point out something, the worst part of the story Brian just pointed out was that the government used textbook entrapment. This is textbook entrapment where they say, hey, we need to spy on the Trump administration. We can't do it directly. We just can't spy directly on Trump. But we certainly can get in through the back door by getting somebody on the peripheral and getting him to do – or if we know that they're doing something illegal, we can bring the information to a FISA court. They'll issue us a warrant, and we'll be able to spy on him. And then – by proxy, spy on the entire Trump administration.
Right.
Well, do we have anybody do anything illegal? No, we don't. Okay, can we make anybody do anything illegal? Yeah.
We can make them do all kinds of stuff.
We can make them do whatever. Okay, well, let's see if – and by the way, I'm not even 100% sure if it's actually illegal. But let's see if we can get George to do this. If we can just convince the court that what he's doing warrants additional surveillance, which would warrant an actual FISA warrant, which would enable us to actually which would otherwise be a violation of the Fourth Amendment, spy on them, then that's all we need. So let's invite him. Let's make George dance like a monkey.
Right.
Bring the monkey dance to the FISA court and say, look, he's dancing like a monkey. Clearly, we need to surveil this guy.
Right.
And that's what they did. They said, hey, come do this song and dance out here in this foreign land. We'll wine and dine you. It'll be great. You can make lots and lots of money. Who wouldn't turn down money like that? I mean, What if they told you, Brian, that you're a pretty good radio show host. Why don't you come out and give a 30-minute talk at this convention? We'll fly you out, all expenses paid, wine and dine, the finest restaurants, the finest hotels, and then after all that, we'll send you home and cut you a check for $5,000. I mean, sounds like a vacation that they're paying you to take.
You know we would do that.
Instantly.
You and I both would do that instantly.
And you know what they would do since I was a volunteer at the Trump campaign? They would say, all right, now
we're getting close.
We've got a Trump campaign volunteer accepting foreign money.
Yes, we did.
To give a talk about what he's doing. Oh, this is collusion. We're going to show this to a FISA court. They're going to have, and not only are we going to start surveilling whatever Kerry does, but because he's involved volunteering, every single person he's connected to and everybody there connected
all the political people that we know here in Cincinnati that know. Hey, folks, I've told you this before. I'm not saying to brag about it, but we're one degree away from Trump. If somebody wanted to spy, or they got a warrant to spy on Kerry and I,
it'd be
they could literally spy on Trump because he's two people away.
The 2 steps. The 2 steps could be a million people. Could be a million people. If I know 1,000 people who each know 1,000 people, that's a million. 1,000 times 1,000 is a million.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a large city. Imagine the ability for now. How many people are in the United States? It's 350 million.
No,
320
million. Yeah,
something like that. You're literally able to spy on like a 0.5% of the entire population simply by getting a very connected person politically. You get one hell of a networked out person.
And we know people that are we know a good friend of ours that is very networked out.
No,
Absolutely.
I mean, we're damn networked out. And that's the point. The point is they get us, we're well networked out. Our network is well networked out.
Yeah.
That's the size of a very large metropolitan area.
Yeah.
Period.
Absolutely. So the Democrats are absolutely swimming. This blue wave that was supposed to happen is not happening. We're getting into 2018 territory, November. Donald Trump had a phenomenal week this week. Early on in the week, he went 7 for 7. And by the time it was all said and done, 8 of the 9 people that Donald Trump backed won. Eight of the 9.
That was a big win.
Trump won. Very, very exciting. People are #walkaway is moving. It is a big, big movement. There's a lot of people. Numbers are being thrown around crazy about the amount of people that are Black Americans that support Donald Trump. Crazy numbers. So I had to start looking into it. Candace Owens, I cannot find where she references, but she scoped for like 3 minutes and said 39% of Black Americans support Trump.
Just the fact that it would be over 30 is such an unbelievable turnaround. I just can't even begin to imagine that kind of a demographics change isn't going to destroy the Democrats.
But I can't verify that number.
Right.
So I went looking on my own, and the NAACP throws out a number of 20%.
That's still a chunk. That's still a chunk improvement.
And here's what's huge about that is that Republicans in recent decades, in the last 30 years, some are saying as far back as Richard Nixon, Republicans hadn't garnered more than 10% of the Black American vote.
Dinesh D'Souza actually wrote about that when he was talking about the big switch, that it went down to 10%. Yeah, about 30.
There's a 90-10 flip, and then a 90-10 flip after FDR with his New Deal, his Re-Deal. The country was the lower income part of the country.
They said that at the very start of FDR's presidency, most Black American voters were voting Republican.
90-10. 90% to 10%.
Was it 90? Yeah, so Republicans were getting 90% of the black vote in the early 30s. 4 years later, was it 32 and 36? Something crazy like that. 4 years later, because of the New Deal, it went to 75% were voting for Democrat. And all the way up to the 80s, it was slowly getting worse and worse until it got all the way to 90%. And, of course, with Barack Obama running in 2008, I think it was 95%. So only 5% of black voters in 2008 voted for McCain. So
sad. So the NAACP came up with 20%. There's also Washington Examiner. Washington Examiner said that he's doubled his support. They're saying also 21%. And it's moving. It's big. It's huge. People are no longer taking this information that's shoveled down their throat. They don't want to deal with it. The hate and the anger that is the Antifa. And like I said, I told you, I'd tell you about Keith Ellison. Keith Ellison, he's a DNC, big DNC guy, Muslim Brotherhood guy. Apparently there's accusations coming out now that he was beating his wife for a while. Very angry.
Some of the news about that is bad, like really vicious. Like he was really abusing his wife, according to his wife. Is it ex-wife now?
Yeah, I believe it's his ex-wife.
Okay.
Yeah,
they were pretty. The news about that was pretty devastating.
Right, and so when you look at Keith Ellison, and you're like, who is this guy? What does he represent? If you look at him, look right here, you can see Keith Ellison holding an anti-fascist handbook. It's
by Mark Bray.
Yeah, it's like a
pamphlet almost, looks like.
Yeah, like a pamphlet, if you will. And this is just...
And he's got a smirk on his face like, yeah, look what I got. Like, no, dude, no.
It's just who they are, folks. And we're seeing this across the country, seeing the Democrats backing anti-fascist, which are fascist. They're beating up people just at random, beating up Trump supporters. Also, Black Lives Matter is out there. There were white Black Lives Matter people screaming at black cops that you're racist, you're KKK, you're Nazis. Folks, in today's, what is right is wrong and what is wrong is right. I don't know what else to call it.
You just got to stand your ground. You know what's right and don't get swayed.
Right. And the other thing, CNN gave wall-to-wall coverage to Jim Jordan's supposed scandal. So why are they taking a pass on Keith Ellison's domestic abuse violation?
Exactly. And Jim Jordan wasn't even involved in any kind of abuse.
Right.
The allegations against him was that he must have known about it, and if he did know about it, why didn't he report it?
Right. And hashtag MeToo movement activists don't even care about this whole thing with Keith Ellison.
Hypocritical double standard.
Yep. Ari Fleischer, one tweet. He's ex-White House press secretary. One tweet. The MSM, which loves to criticize Sinclair media when Sinclair has its TV stations carried the same editorial message, collude to act like Sinclair, so long as the message is anti-Trump. Once again, the media doubles down on its own double standard.
Ah, gotta love Ari Fleischer. Gotta love
Good times, good times. So this is what's going on. Democrats versus Republicans. Robbie Mook, who was the really skinny kind of soy boy that was with Clinton campaign.
Is he the one that looks like a Clinton campaign?
Yeah, Clinton campaign.
Oh, he was the young dude.
Yeah.
I remember that, yeah.
He is now saying Democrats should stop campaigning with Keith Ellison. Well, ain't nobody listening. Ain't nobody listening.
Because he looks like he's 12.
Yeah. Oh, and also, here's more Democrat news. Detroit Democrat Betty Cook Scott, she said in a speech, "Don't vote for my opponent, Ching Chong."
Now, why would she call her Ching Chong? Is that her name?
No, she's Asian.
Oh, hell no. You've got to be able to sidestep those landmines. When I first started doing Smith Radio, I always worried that something was going to come out of my mouth that's going to look so bad because my brain didn't realize that the words that were coming out of my mouth.
You were trying to be too politically correct.
Yeah, and I was so worried that something was going to get twisted. Well, after a while, it just is impossible. You know how to sidestep these landmines, or at least I thought. Turns out there's people in my business, whether they're politicians, they could be journalists, talking heads on TV, whatever. It blows my mind how they're unable to sidestep these landmines. I mean, you can't call your Asian opponent Ching Chong or whatever. To me, that's an unforced error.
Okay, what if you're the governor of New York and your brother works for CNN?
I would say that you would be better. You would have to be better than me at sidestepping these landmines, right?
Cuomo, New York.
We're not going to make America great again. It was never that great. We have not reached greatness. We will reach greatness when every American is fully engaged.
What?
Wow. President Trump responded on Twitter. Can you believe this is the governor of the highest tax state in the U.S., Andrew Cuomo, having a total meltdown, exclamation point. But Cuomo appeared to double down, tweeting back to the president, what you say would be great again would not be great at all. We will not go back to discrimination, segregation, sexism, isolationism, racism, or the KKK.
I had to correct her. I had to correct her.
So Cuomo called Trump KKK tactics. Okay. All right.
What they're saying is look, at one point in our history, we had KKK, we had, all this stuff going on. And for you to say we want to go back to when America was great again, we don't want to do that, which all that is wrong, totally wrong.
100%.
I mean, we really needed from the very I got something really sad to tell you guys. Humanity includes in it people, totalitarian oppressors, just your average Joe, who like to oppress people. That's just a sad fact. I really hate to have to say that, but you have to understand that we can't make everybody do the right thing for whatever reason. It's something I can't explain.
No,
it's like Brian's actually done a better job than I have. Where there's the devil is out there, and people have told me that the devil is always trying to entice you, and people fall for this all the time, and you see it. And I'm just sad to say that there's always going to be bad people. That being said, you go all the way back to our founding, and as they're gaining their independence from Great Britain, a compromise had to be made in order to stay unified because almost half the people wanted to still own black people.
Right. Well, when you say,
I should say slaves.
You said, actually, it's in the South. Primarily Democrats, Southern Democrats, right. They wanted to keep their slaves.
And it never ended. We fought a war over it. And even after that, they assassinated the president because he was the one that, wanted to free the slaves. And
Wilkes Booth was a full-blown communist.
Right. And
Make no
this
bones
is your
about
leftist,
that.
and it just goes on and on and on, and it never ends. And so what you need to realize is not whether or not back when America was in its founding, whether or not it was great back then or it's going to be great now or great into the future. First and foremost, you have to accept the premise. And if you don't, I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear who disagrees with the premise and why. There's always going to be these evil people who need to have that need to dominate others, that need to put them down, kill them, own them, oppress them in some way. I mean, look at Jack Dorsey. Flat out, this is a guy that just cannot tell the devil no. When the devil tells him, do you know what kind of power you have?
He's got the little G, the little God complex.
Yes,
absolutely.
He absolutely has a God complex, and he's acting in a way that people like me would say, a man of good character knows what to do in every situation, including being able to do the right thing even when nobody's looking. And Jack just is not doing that in most of the cases.
Nope.
And I'm not saying he's a bad person overall. I'm just saying that the devil came on his shoulder and he just could not say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do
that. So check this out real quick. Kamala Harris, she just a beautiful, strong, she seems to be more of a conservative, level-headed individual. She's also a military brat. But anyway, she wrote a book about it. But she's cool.
Okay, all right. You got to be careful with military brats. They're the ones that
we've got in-laws that are totally cool.
Well, you're the one that explained to me about Bill Mitchell.
It wasn't hard to do.
Yeah, we were wondering why in the world he was acting the way he was, and we were just like,
because
we're both military veterans.
Yeah, I said, I bet he's a military brat.
Right, well, you said, was he in the military? And I thought, as soon as you said that, and I was trying to remember what the answer was, that's when I remember, he's a military brat. And Brian was like, that's exactly why. And I was like, Oh, and then
because he thinks he can do it, but he can't. You can't.
Yeah, military brats. That's a long discussion.
Yeah, and we don't want to get into
Brian
that.
doesn't seem like he wants to get into it, but there's something special about military brats. It's not very special, but anyway.
Seldom weigh in this way, but I tweeted out. I mean, tell that to every single active duty American service member, every military veteran of every war we have fought, every loving family member of every soldier, Marine, guard, sailor, airman, woman who has died serving this nation. Then tell them how sorry you are. #Andrew Cuomo.
That was probably the most beautiful, respectful tweet in defense of America that I have heard. I mean, she's not really a journalist. She's got a talk show. She's got a show on Fox News, but still, nonetheless, Andrew Cuomo, suck it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. The whole thing about joining the military and fighting for your country, you got to understand what a country is. This is unbelievable to me, and I have trouble wrapping my head around it. But most of the time, I feel like a lot of people just don't really understand what a country is, which is why people are like, we need to have open borders. Who are you to tell people he can't come in? And the globalists, it's just a mess because they don't even understand what a country is. And what's worse is nationalists and people who oppose globalism, they've never really stopped and pondered what it is that makes a country. A country is just an assembly of a group of people that say, you know what, we can come together and provide a common defense for our group. That's what a country is. Right. That's what civilization has developed. It's just a model for common defense.
Saying that the greatest military that human beings have ever seen on the planet Earth is not keeping America great by protecting it. By him saying America was never great is literally spitting on all the fallen soldiers that have served
and
to make this America.
And the reason why I agree with that is because you're saying that these people were fighting for an inferior country. And they would never agree with that. Right. And if they did, what does that say about the military personnel who fought, who may have killed people in defense of an inferior or evil or not so great country?
Right.
So
this woman right here in black, blonde hair in black on the right, I forget her name, doesn't come to mind. She was Obama's spokesperson. She was a spokesperson for Obama, and she is on this show. Just another minute and a half, and you'll see how the left reacts, and then you'll see how strong conservative women react.
I don't think that Andrew Cuomo doesn't believe this country's great. I think that he was trying to turn the president's slogan around on him and flubbed it.
So
and I think that he should.
So in 2010, when Andrew Cuomo used the slogan "Make New York Great Again,"
right.
What was that about?
Well, I have no idea. I'm not a close follower of his whole career. What I'm saying, though, is I do not think that Andrew Cuomo doesn't believe it's a great country. I think he tried to use a political tactic and turn the slogan around, and it didn't come out right. And I don't, I and my fellow Democrats believe this is an exceptional country.
Okay, this is the first Democrat you have ever heard this, because the Democrats now know it's blowing up in their face.
It's not working at all.
Believe in American exceptionalism. We disagree with the president's policies. And in terms of the country, a lot of politicians talk about problems. Donald Trump's inauguration address was all about American carnage. So I think that we can take a step back and say we're working towards a more perfect union.
I know you want to.
And I don't know. And Katie, I don't know. What do you think President Trump's referring to when he says "Make America Great Again"?
The economy and how terrible the economy was under Barack Obama for nearly a decade of my life. But
okay, listen to this girl.
She's right.
Right. Listen to this woman. A decade of her life. Wind back 10 years, and she was a teenager.
She looks pretty young, so I can imagine it must have felt like a lifetime.
If she's 30 right now, 10 years ago, she was 20. She was in college preparing for this job right here. I'm just saying. Keep it in mind.
I want to respond to... look, I could give Andrew Cuomo the benefit of the doubt if Democrats didn't have a track record over recent years of being unpatriotic.
That's true.
Up with NFL players kneeling for the national anthem.
That is not unpatriotic.
Hillary Clinton.
Yes, it is.
She just said kneeling is not unpatriotic.
Hold on, I got to explain this really quick because it's really important. I do believe that the NFL players and those who support the take the knee thing don't consider it patriotic or not patriotic, either or. I don't think it's about a statement about police abuse and all this kind of stuff, and especially towards people of color, this kind of stuff. And I'll agree with that premise because it's their thoughts, and I'm not going to take their thoughts away from them. If they want to say that and believe that, that's fine. But for them to do it during the national anthem is a horrible, horrible messaging. Really bad branding.
You're going about it the wrong way.
Right. It makes people like me feel like you are protesting America, the military, its defense, patriotism, all of the above. And they'll say, no, it's not. No, it's not. Well, then do something else.
Right. And I don't know if she says it in the sound clip, but Hillary Clinton this week tweeted out her support and strength for an 11-year-old child that kneeled for the singing the national anthem.
And yesterday, praising a little boy. Hillary Clinton, I stand by it completely. Hillary Clinton praising a child for not standing for the national anthem. You have the DNC embracing groups like Occupy Wall Street that are burning the American flag in the streets. And then you have Barack Obama himself saying, yeah, America's exceptional just like the Greeks thinks that they are exceptional. Andrew Cuomo yesterday didn't flub anything. This is the pattern of Democrats over the past 10 years. Wow. And they're not out there saying how great America actually is. They're not talking about all the aid Americans are giving all over the world.
Yeah, but you're not Andrew Cuomo, and you're not aspiring to be the commander-in-chief, which is why I went to the military.
Hold on, Maria, I've got a question for you.
Barack Obama said it all the time.
To what Katie just said, then what do you make of the Gallup poll recently that found that only 3 in 10 Democrats are extremely proud of America, whereas you have 7 in 10 Republicans that are extremely proud of America? What would you make of that polling?
I was done with her. Yeah, I was done with her.
No, I think we can answer for her based on everything we heard so far. She's busted.
100%. And that is she's a card-carrying member of Barack Obama's party. She carries the water for him for the whole time she was in the administration.
Red diaper baby?
Yeah,
possibly.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
2020, Dems gearing up for a street fight on race, identity politics. CNN's Angela Rye echoes Cuomo. America's never been great.
I got into a fight with white supremacists last week, and I never really got into a fight with white supremacists before.
I've never even known one, but okay.
Oh, well, they came out of the wood. I didn't know. I was a little disturbed because I thought the whole fight against white supremacy was fake. I thought it was a straw man invented by the Democrats or left-leaning Twitter users.
Right.
They would build up the straw man and put him in a Nazi outfit and say, look at these white supremacists, and beat on them, And I'm like, that's just a straw man. What are you talking about? Well, it turns out when I criticized Richard Spencer and blasted all over – and actually I pointed out that Dinesh D'Souza proved that Richard Spencer was
He made him look like a fool.
Yeah, and he pretty much – he proved he was a progressive by getting him to admit it.
Yeah, he said in his own words, my ideologies align more with progressive socialist Democrats than Donald Trump.
Yes, so he got him to admit it. So it's undeniable, all this kind of stuff. The Richard Spencer crowd came after me so hard. Total white supremacists. I looked through their timeline and I saw what they were writing, and here's what I found. The Richard Spencer white supremacist crowd type people and your everyday average Barack Obama supporting liberal Democrat progressive, they have something extremely strong in common. Very strong. Identity politics. That's the difference between the Trump movement and all of its members and the collection of both Democrats, progressives, KKK or whatever, Nazis, white supremacists, white nationalists. They all have the same thing in common, all of them, everybody that votes Democrat, and that is that white people think the way they do because they're white. Black people think the way they do because they're black. Whatever person of color, whatever ethnicity, whatever it is, that they all are governed by their skin color or whatever it is that the culture of their skin color designates them to be or to do. They all are so all in, like mentally, completely all in on that. And that kind of conjured up that memory when you read that last piece there.
Right. And so CNN, Simone Sanders Trump sent Sarah Sanders to poop on the people from the podium. These people are you want to talk about calling Donald Trump unhinged. These people are so unhinged. They have nothing left. They got no argument. They got no real argument. They got no substance. They got nothing.
Oh.
When you call Sarah Huckabee Sanders the C word, and it rhymes with Hunt, and you say that about her as some kind of joke or something.
It's ad hominem.
You're vile.
Two things that happened this week was Bill Maher was one of them.
Oh no!
And I'll think of the other one in a minute, I think. But they're not the only two. I'm starting to see this more and more, and I implore you to please, you need to specifically fight back against this. I've been noticing that these people, and Bill Maher did it really bad on his show this week. They are calling Trump a liar.
Yeah.
And they're just saying it. They're just saying Trump's a liar. He's the biggest liar we've ever had. They say, experts are saying, hey, he's doing 7 lies per day. These are words I'm taking straight out of Bill Maher's mouth. It was the 5 guy, Juan Williams.
Oh,
Juan Williams on the 5. This is what really disturbed me. When Bill Maher said it, it was in a monologue. He's going to say what he says is in his monologue. He's not going to be able to be challenged.
Right.
It's just his, nobody's there to challenge him. Juan Williams is on the 5.
Nobody challenged him?
He sat there and said, Donald Trump's a liar. And when he lies, he's lying. And he does all these lies. And why can't we get him to stop lying? And when he starts to talk, he's lying. The whole time I'm sitting here thinking, there are 4 other people at least on this panel. Somebody needs to interrupt him, not because he shouldn't be talking, but
Jesse Waters needs to put a foot down on him.
Right. Check this out. This is what I want everybody listening to this to do. I implore you, if there's only one thing you take away from this show today, it's this. It doesn't have to be Juan Williams. It doesn't have to be Bill Maher or anybody in between. You see it on Twitter, and they're repeating what these leaders are saying. When somebody calls Trump a liar, you have to say, can you name one?
Yeah, just one.
Just give me an example.
Just one.
Now,
single
mind you, they might be able to say an example. A lot of times they just shut up and go away.
Right.
Because they don't have an example. But they might be able to show an example that could be construed as a lie. And that's when you need to attack that lie. It might, and I can't even think of an example.
Give them the definition. Well, first off, you might have to give them the definition of a lie,
which is really sad. But let me. I was brainstorming this in the shower today, which is where I come up with all the solutions of the universe.
Yes,
really,
yes.
that's where it happens. Yeah. And you can't have a chalkboard in the shower.
No,
this is God conspiring against us. You can't have a whiteboard. You can't have a chalkboard. You can't have a recording device because it's electronic. I'm telling you, man, there's a reason. There's a conspiracy against me solving the world's problems, and that is that I can only come up with them in the shower. But anyway, I digress. So here I am in the shower, and I realize that everybody, I don't care how honest you are, every single person on earth can be pushed into lying. And I'll give you a really easy example. Brian, if I told you that I'll give you $1 million if you tell the truth all day, what do you think you would say to your wife? She said, does this dress make me look fat?
Baby, for $1 million, I'm going to have to be honest with you.
Okay. So you won't be pushed into a corner for $1 million. But if you,
I know where you're going. Yeah.
If you made a pledge to yourself, I'm going to try to be so honest. I'm not going to say anything that's not 100% true.
So that means you're going to take the filter off and you're going to insult the hell out of everybody everywhere.
And here's my point. My point is that Brian telling his wife, which, by the way, if Nettie's listening right now, you actually do look good in that dress. I'm talking,
hypothetics.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it could be anybody.
Right. It could actually be a dress that's not flattering, which is really, Brian might be a good husband and say, you might want to try that other dress because that other dress really makes you look hot.
I do actually say that. Yeah.
Okay. So there might be that. My point is that when Brian lies about something like that, you just don't want to go down a road you don't need to go down. Donald Trump is also the type of human being that's going to avoid going down roads that you can avoid. So when a liberal comes up to you or a person with a Trump deranged syndrome says he lies 7 times a day. Experts are saying he's lying 7 times a day. And you say, whoa, I got to stop you right there. You need to give me an example because I don't trust you. As far as I know, since you have Trump derangement syndrome, you are going to be dishonest at all times. You need to give me an example, and if it's you look great in that dress example, you need to call him out.
Okay, real quick, end of the show.
Yep.
I promised. People
I thought
saying
that was important.
Yes, people saying that Trump lied about the wall.
We've already started.
We've begun building the wall.
President Trump promising to build that border wall, and he's already making progress. U.S. Customs and Border officials confirming that more than 11 miles of wall have been constructed in the southern New Mexico area this month. Here to tell us why this is so important to...
Okay, that was one video. There's also another video.
It goes down like 6 feet.
Oh, deeper than that. Way deep. That's one video. There's also another video. There's another video that shows 20 miles of wall built. He corrects her and says that there's, miles and miles of the wall have already been built.
Well, the fact that
currently being built.
Congress is opposing this, and they're the ones with the purse strings and all this kind of stuff. So it's definitely going to be difficult, but it's going to have to be done because, that's why we elected Trump. Flat out, if you were to line up the issues from top to bottom, the build the wall has to be like number 1, maybe number 2, maybe. So I feel like Congress is kind of shooting themselves in the foot by not just flat out giving them the money to do this. And by the way, you don't have to do the whole 2,000-mile border. If you went from San Diego on the coast, which a lot of that wall's already built there, to the Rio Grande,
right,
which is less than half, way less than half of the entire border, because the river, I almost feel like there could be other measures than a wall because there's a river there. So I feel like
but people are crossing the river during high tide or low levels of water.
Okay.
And even when the water's up high, they're still crossing.
We'll make that a lower priority.
Facing all kinds of problems.
Because if you look at New Mexico, Arizona, and California, it's just desert on one side, desert on the other side. A wall needs to be put
And they're
back.
saying since the wall, that there's another wall that was being put up near San Diego in that area. They said since that wall has gone up, crime has just plummeted.
Well, there you go.
Plummeted
Not
because
surprising.
that's gone up. So.
Not surprising. Oh, I know Kat in Arizona hates to hear that bell.
Fastest 3 hours
But
you'll
it
spend with
happens.
anybody, folks. Good Lord. That's a heck of a crowd right there. Fastest three hours you'll spend with anybody, folks. Share this with your friends and your family all around the horn. Tell everybody about Smith Radio. You and I are Donald Trump's legacy. We'll be talking about this for the next 30, 40 years of our lives to our children and our grandchildren.
That's true.
Don't forget, jump over to patreon.com, folks. I will be mailing these out today to the new Patreons of Smith Radio America, Dinesh D'Souza's last movie. Peace.
Awesome. See you guys.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.